Chapter 1. New Beginning Sigh. It looks like my time is coming to an end. A young man, 19 or 20 years old, was lying on the bed near a window with a weak, shriveled body. His eyes had lost any urge or need and were completely dead as he looked at the sky from the window. The man lying here is Apollo, who, just like his name suggests, was an all-round genius who was good at almost everything, whether it was studies, music, or sports, but everything changed a few months ago. 2 months ago, late at night, just when he was about to tear his new sexy girlfriend's clothes for the first time, he suddenly lost consciousness and was later found to have a rare genetic disorder that had no cure, and he had only a few months to live. This news shocked him as his proud, bright life turned dark in an instant as everything he did and achieved in his short life became meaningless. So what if he was a genius, who started his own company at 18 and was going to achieve his doctorate degree at the young age of 19? Nothing can help him now. But what was most detestable was that it could not wait a day or a few hours so that he could at least complete the greatest deed of his life, a threesome. Knowing this, he almost lost his will and felt despair. He then quickly proceeded with the treatment, trying to hold himself first. But as his health deteriorated, he could not do anything and felt anguish in the situation. He was alone, as when he was 7, his parents died in an accident, leaving him alone in foster care. Apollo, with his own strength and hard work, achieved all the riches and fame. But now he was lying in bed, incapable of moving. After 2 months, it became difficult for him to even move his fingers, and Apollo could only remain lying down on the bed. At this moment, he felt a sudden drowning. His senses, which he barely left, also started to disappear. He knew instantly that his time had come to an end. There hasn't been a bombshell this bad in while her beauty, good. Finally, I can rest in peace and no more despair. No more thoughts. Nothing to care about. Although this was his thought as he was closing his eyes, he had many regrets and things he wanted to achieve. The moment he closed his eyes, a teardrop fell, which seemed to mark the end of his short life. But at that moment, a sudden glow of golden light appeared in the room, covering Apollo's body for an instant and disappearing before anybody could notice it. Wah, wah, look, it's a boy. Congratulations. Congratulations. Step aside. Let me see. Let me look at the boy. Immediately, a sturdy, slender, middle-aged man with a small beard and blonde hair appeared with a smile, and with care, he held the baby boy in his hands. Good, good, good. He said good 3 times, seeing the baby boy while laughing with his heart content. When the middle-aged man looked at the young boy, the boy suddenly stopped crying and looked at the man who was holding him in his arms. What is this? Didn't I die? Where is this? Why are my hands so small? And why is this person holding him so big? Bring him to me. Let me see my son. A beautiful woman's voice suddenly sounded in the room, which made the middle-aged man smile. Yes, yes, come boy. Let's meet with your mother. The middle-aged man then carefully took the boy, came close to a beautiful woman with white skin, blue eyes, long black hair, and an elegant otherworldly charm, and placed him near her. He has the same eyes as you. Indeed, he is going to be a strong boy. Ha ha ha. Yes, he will be strong and brave and make our family reach new heights. She did not say anything but, with doting eyes, looked at her son. At that moment, no matter how ridiculous the situation, Apollo had to believe what he was seeing and feeling now. After a moment, he gets a hint of his current situation. He somehow became a newborn child, and the 2 people in front of him should be his new parents. But what the hell? How is that possible? He was sure he died, but now that he had been born again as a baby, how could this be real? Is this a dream? I should be dead, so how am I dreaming? Or have I not died yet? But after a few moments of seeing and feeling things, this sensation was too real to be a dream, which meant he might really have become a baby. If all else fails, that means he reincarnated. Are there really reincarnations? As a modern person, it was unbelievable. Everything was unreal. Did he get a second chance? After coming to a realization, he became excited. He now doesn't need to feel despair from slowly waiting for life to end and loneliness again. Thinking of this, his previous dead heart regained a new hope and expectation, which made him cry. Wah, wah. As a newborn baby, Apollo could not control his body's reactions and started crying because of the stimulus. Look, your loud voice made our son cry. Stop talking. My lady, what did I do wrong? Stop talking and give our son a name. Yes, yes, I already had thought a name for my son. His name will be Apollo, Apollo Fletcher, who will brighten the lives of our people and protect them. Apollo. Yes, it's a good name. Do you like it? Mother said, looking at her baby son with a doting look. Hearing the name his new parents gave surprised him, and he stopped crying, as although he could not understand the language, he could still guess something. And hearing them give him the same name from his previous life was surprising and sentimental, as in this life, he was still going to be known as an Apollo. Look, our son liked the name. Seeing that he stopped crying, both parents were happy. Although he still could not fully believe all the things happening now, looking at his loving parents, he was looking forward to his new life. After that, he felt tired and fell asleep, as he was just a newborn baby and his body needed sleep. Just like that, a few days passed, and Apollo had adjusted to his new life as a baby. Even though it was weird for him to suck breast milk, he could not do anything about it. As a baby, he needs milk, and be real, it was not that bad. And also, after some observation, he understood many things about his new family and home. First, it seems he is not in the same time period, or he might not be on Earth, as his new home seems to be similar to an old castle with ancient European architecture, but there are things inside the castle that are entirely new for him, like the animal head decor in the castle, which shocked him. It was not weird to have such thoughts in the castle, but the shocking thing was whose head it was. Although he said animal, in truth, he was not sure whether this thing was an animal or not. Because it was similar to a wolf, he thought it was an animal, but it also had a big eye on its head, which made him confused about whether he was seeing things. It was not the only animal or whatever this was in his house. There were quite a few such weird creatures with bodies and fur in the castle, which made him more sure that something was different about this world. He was also able to hear and see some unwanted, disturbing scenes of servants f***ing one another in some corners. But it was nothing compared to the time when his mother, walking around, took him to the training grounds of the soldiers. These women are earning more than gold medals. They're making bank her beauty after seeing the soldiers training. He was so shocked that he cursed loudly. FK. But only the sound of a growling baby came out. Not only did he see soldiers lifting hundreds of kilograms of weight easily, but he also saw unknown energy released by them to destroy a rock weighing over a ton. It was like movies or anime where they had control over some forces like chi, mana, or whatever this power was. This was something he never expected to witness, but given that he had been reincarnated, he readily accepted this reality, since everything is now conceivable. So why would he try to question it? The second and easiest thing he understood was that his new family should be noble or powerful family, as an ordinary family cannot have such a big castle with many servants and hundreds of soldiers. He did not know how big the castle was or how many servants or soldiers they had, but it was a lot from what he had seen in just a few days, which seemed like good news for him. Having a good family background is a huge advantage for him, as it will be a great help for his future development. He can be sure whether the resources or knowledge of the extraordinary power that he saw should be controlled by powerful nobles or forces. He did not know anything about the people, the structure of societies, or the workings of this world, but he can be sure of human lust, selfishness, hunger for power, and possessions, whether it is this world or previous. Since there is extraordinary power, people naturally want to control it for their benefit. He did not have much expectation that there would be some human rights in this world. Anyway, watching those soldiers show such strength was a mind-boggling experience for him, and he really wanted to know how this works, what training or secret potions and medicines were needed, and what level of strength a single human could achieve. Although Apollo was smarter than other kids at his age, he was still a fan of anime and comics. So knowing that humans can also gain such extraordinary power was also a dream come true for him. He was a curious person, and even in his previous life, most of the things he learned and did were also because of his curiosity. Now, knowing all this, countless thoughts and questions were going through his mind that he could not wait to know the answers to. But he is now just a baby who cannot move, talk, or stand on his own. All those things are too early for him. As for his current family members, he has already met his parents, but he also seems to have two lovely sisters. In addition to this, many other people also came to see him, but he could not fully understand their relationship with him. So right now, he first needed to know and understand the language of this place, or at least understand the conversations between people. After that, he concentrated most of his mind when he was awake, trying to learn the language. Time passed quickly, and in just 2 months, he managed to learn most of the language, showing his talent, as he learned all of this just by observing the people without any help or instruction. He still cannot say clear words as a baby, but he can now understand what others are saying. It was like he watched a few anime, without subtitles for 2 or 3 hours a day, and then 2 months later, he could work as a subtitler. He also now knew many things because of the servants who whispered about his family, like that their last name is Fletcher, his father's name is John Fletcher, and his mother's name is Louise Fletcher. They are a hereditary noble family with 1,000 years of history, and at their glorious time, they even held the title of Marquis. But with time, they have naturally declined, and now they only have the title of Baron. Although they had become weaker, it did not mean that their situation was bad. In fact, for the last few decades, because of his grandfather, whom he still had not seen, the family had shown signs of recovery. And now they're the strongest barons on the northern side of the kingdom, with a strong army rivaling that of many viscounts. His grandfather had the title of Baron, so he had the most power in the family. He seems to be in some kind of closed-door training and in a critical stage of becoming stronger, which is why his grandfather did not come to see him at the time of his birth. After knowing all of this, he really wanted to see his grandfather and how strong and capable he was. All the servants and soldiers were in awe every time they mentioned him. In these 2 months, he also finally got to know what that mysterious energy is and what it is called. They called it prana, or in simple terms, it means life force, which somehow people here can control and utilize to get power beyond their limits. This prana was entirely new to him, and he was very interested in it. But sadly, he could not do anything about it, as he did not know anything except its name. He could not see all how they train, as it was not like his mother or servants would take him there daily. From what he had seen, it was nothing more than their warm-up and nothing more. He wanted to see how they move and how they battle. Would it be like in movies with super fast movements doing acrobats? Or could they launch projectile attacks like in anime? Apollo wanted to see, but he could not. Sigh, being a baby stinks. There are many things he wants to do, feel, and know, but all he could do is cry, pee, and shit in his pants. Now that he thinks about it, sucking boobs is actually the only good thing. After learning the language, nothing much changed as his life as a baby continued. And 2 weeks later, his grandfather, Baron William Fletcher, came out of his closed-door training. And the first thing he did was see his grandson Apollo. Haha, let me look at my grandson. He came to the bed where Apollo was lying. And finally, Apollo also met his barren grandfather, the strongest person in the Fletcher family. Seeing that the baby Apollo was looking at him with his cute baby eyes, Baron William looked at him with interest as he felt something was different about his grandson. Oh, it's like my grandson is a genius that comes once in a century. Normally, babies and young kids would feel invisible pressure upon seeing him because of his strength. They would start crying, but Apollo was all right, and he was just a 2-month-old baby. But Apollo, after seeing his grandfather for the first time, was feeling anxious from the moment their eyes met. He felt like his grandfather could look into his mind, which horrified him, thinking his secret might get leaked in a moment. Grandfather William moved his hands and held Apollo's right hand gently, and then a warm, spring-like energy gushed out of his hand, which bathed Apollo's entire body with it. Apollo's mind got blank at the moment as he felt his body getting warm and his anxious mind, which was in chaos a moment ago, calmed down. He felt a euphoric feeling that he had never felt before. It was intense, like taking drugs. The warm energy moved inside his body for a few seconds and then slowly disappeared like it was never there. Good, very good. The Fletcher family will regain its glory. John, finally, you did something good besides marrying Louise. Father, what is it? Is my son very talented, just like you? Apollo's father John, standing beside him, could not help but ask, seeing the happiness on his face. Yes, father. What made you sure to say these things? Louise could also help and ask, as this is about her son's future. Haha, you both are fortunate. Apollo might have a mutated physique that only appears once in 1 million people. And the mutation is in a good direction, not a deterioration or alteration. What? Father, are you sure about this? Brad, who do you think your father is? I'm 90% sure my grandson has a mutated physique. His blood vessels and nerves seem to be 3 to 4 times wider and sturdier. Even his prana circuits are already in a semi-open state. What have his life energy circuits already opened? Didn't it mean bad if his prana circuits are already open? Will he lose his life energy with time and die because of this? Louise asked nervously, as Apollo was too young and could not use his life energy now. Don't worry. That's why I said they are semi-opened, which means that normally his life force cannot flow out of his circuits unless he forcefully opens them. This situation is honestly advantageous for him, as it protects him from dangerous situations where he can run out of life energy. It's like a safety valve that can help him control his input and output of life energy quickly, without needing decades of training. This means that he can start his training at a very young age. He can start his proper training of releasing and controlling life energy after some basic training. Hearing this, both his parents and Apollo, who had calmed down knowing his secret seemed safe, were surprised. My dear, our son is a genius that is difficult to find in the kingdom or even in the whole continent. Stop shouting in front of our son's bed. Don't disturb him. Let him rest. Both of his parents started mumbling with joy, which can clearly be seen on their faces, and then they left, seeing him close his eyes. Seeing his parents and grandpa, he almost left, then slowly opened his eyes. Phew, safe. But at that moment, his grandfather stopped and quickly glanced behind. He looked at him in the bed for a moment and left the room. FK, almost my weak, delicate baby heart had a heart attack. Apollo opened his eyes after a few seconds, feeling shocked after his first meeting with his grandfather. Damn, it looks like Grandpa is super strong. The feeling when he first saw his grandfather was the most nerve-wracking experience for him. He almost thought he was caught by his barren grandfather. If he felt this way in front of his grandfather, what about other, more powerful people? They might take a deep peek in his thoughts. And what will he do if the other person is a super strong, hot woman? Will she not see through his lusty thoughts? This world is more dangerous than he thought. Although the meeting was nerve-wracking, something good also happened, as he was able to make contact with life energy for the first time. The sensation was something that he had never felt before. The ecstatic feeling was something which couldn't be described in words. Apollo not only felt good, but he also felt the strength of life energy, as his baby body, for a second, became quite strong when vitality was flowing through his veins. He cannot say exactly how much the boost was, but it should be 2 to 3 times at least. It may seem like not much, but it is already a terrifying increase, as he was still a baby with a weak body. If his body was strong, this increase should be greater, as the sturdier the container, the more pressure it can bear, and this was also the case. This should also be why all the soldiers he saw had such strong, sturdy bodies. He also now knows that his physique seems to be special, making him a genius that is rare to find in the kingdom. This means he did not have to go through the phase of being trash or being bullied by others, as some novel protagonists do. His family also seems pretty good. For what he has seen, there are no DK heads or idiotic young masters in his family. Everyone respects and loves each other and behaves like proper nobles. It is the thing that he is most glad about his family, as he did not have to face slap his family members. This might not be the entire truth, but it is already good. In a world where individual strength overwhelms a group of people or armies, it's great that they treat everyone well, even if they are servants. He lets all those thoughts go and focuses on the most important thing he learned, prana, or life energy. He first time felt this mysterious energy, and now he wanted to try for himself to see if he could feel the sensation again. Since his body is special, maybe he can feel it. Anyway, it was worth trying, so he calmed down. He was trying to recreate the same sensation he felt when the life energy from his grandfather entered his body and traveled through his veins. Lying down, Apollo's calm mind dwelled in feeling while trying to find the prana circuits that are hidden deep inside his body. As he was trying to locate the prana circuits, he closed his eyes and concentrated on the feeling. In his life on Earth, his high IQ was not the only thing that made him a genius. Rather, the ability to forget everything and concentrate on single things made him a true genius. Whether they were physical or intellectual, his superb concentration of mind and body made him a monster who would learn and apply them correctly, making him exceptional even among geniuses. Right now, the same thing was happening, but for some reason, it was different as he unknowingly entered a very deep state, and time seemed to have slowed down. His mind seemed to have reached a higher state, something that never happened before. He is in his subconscious mind. He saw himself standing ahead of a huge, closed gate while something mysterious behind the gate was raging and colliding ferociously to break free. What is this place? Apollo was confused seeing the giant gate, as something like this never happened in his previous life or his 2-month new life. Although it was weird, he was not anxious, as everything seemed to be under his control. He was feeling great, like he seemed to have come into contact with an entire new world. The gate seems to hold the answers to many of his questions, as it seems to be calling him. Although he wanted to open it, the gate was huge, and he was not sure whether he would be able to open it. He raised his hands and pushed the gate to open it, but it didn't move at all. But he did not stop, as this time he pulled every ounce of his strength to try to shake the gigantic gate. Damn it, move, you bastard! Kachang Krieg. The gate, which seemed impossible to open, finally shook. It moved a little, and a few inches of gap were opened. Boom! A wave of unimaginable energy pushed the gate and started to come out of the gap. Apollo instantly felt the same feeling when his grandfather transferred some life energy into his body. He seems to feel strong power as the life energy seems to be moving inside his blood, veins, nerves, and organs. He was in a euphoric state for a few seconds as everything became hazy for him, but this did not continue for long as something happened that changed this experience immediately. What happened? Suddenly, all the excitement disappeared as he started to feel a great deal of pain that he had never felt before. He felt his body was full and started bloating, and every part of his body or mind would explode if it continued like that. As the life energy seemed to be gushing out the gate, he understood what he needed to do to stop him from exploding. With all the pain seeming to tear his body and mind, he, gathering his strength, started to pull the gate back that he just opened. The mysterious gate was slowly pushed back, as he continued to push it with his strength and strong will without thinking about the pain. Almost. Don't stop. Slowly, with all his wit and strength, he closed the gate. Instantly, the life energy overflow in his body stopped, and slowly it started to be absorbed by his body. The bloated feeling stopped, and he, with shock, opened his eyes and returned to the real world. When he opened his eyes, he felt so tired that he could not even move his fingers. He wanted to understand what just happened, but his head hurt badly as slowly drowsiness took over and he fell unconscious. He did not know how much time had passed, but when he woke up, it seemed like it was already night. He was on a bed, and his mother was sleeping beside him. But after waking, he felt something about him was different. He felt the world around him had changed. He seems to be able to see and feel something more mysterious that goes beyond the 5 simple senses. Even minute details around him at night were as clear as day. He also seemed to see some tiny glowing particles in the air. Not only that, he also felt that his baby body, which is just 2 months old, seemed to have suddenly become stronger. He felt that he could try to stand or even walk right now. He felt a very weak breath of life energy within his body that was flowing through his body like blood, steadily making his body strong. Right now, he was feeling great, as for the first time, he felt he had control over his body and could accurately control his motion. He steadily moved his legs while trying to control the motion. His movements were slow, his legs were shaking, and his posture was bad, but after some tries, he succeeded and was able to stand on his own. This made him ecstatic, as it was a big moment for him. He also tried to move, but he lost his balance and fell, which almost made his mother awake, so he stopped and concentrated on other things. Apollo slowly breathed and felt the flow of life energy, which was slowly soothing him. He can now actually visualize and feel the internal parts of his body, like the inner vision of those martial arts novels. After making contact with the mysterious gate and the changes that happened, he was curious about what that was. Is it a good thing? He cannot answer them, but for the current situation, it was good as it made his plan of becoming stronger accelerate many times. He continued to feel the changes, and from that day on, his life again returned to its normal routine, where he ate, sleep, and shit every day. Time passed quickly as seasons changed and years passed by as Apollo started to grow. And like that, 12 years passed quickly. In a wide field, a young boy was standing, holding a sword that seemed to glow as the sunlight fell on it, making it look mystical. His eyes were closed, as he seemed to be concentrating on something as rays of sunlight fell on him. There was a serene silence around him, as everything stood still. Slowly, a bright blue aura burst out from him, disturbing the silence of the place. The blue aura covered his entire body, and it seemed his hair color also seemed to change and become crystal blue. He opened his eyes, and an instant aura around him calmed down. He moved with lightning speed and swung his sword, creating a gust of wind. The sword movement started to change from simple to complex like elegant dance, where every movement from him will create resonance with nature itself. Some were fast, ferocious moves, while others were simple, clean movements. At that time, a maid came and quietly stood aside, waiting for the boy to finish his training. He also noticed, and a few seconds later, he stopped his training and asked, "What the matter?" The maid quickly came near and said, "Master Apollo, Lord William wanted to talk and is waiting for you in the main hall. Grandpa wants to meet me suddenly. Did not he just return from the capital?" He asked the maid, feeling a little different from his grandfather's behavior. "Yes, Lord Baron just returned, but he first wants to meet you, Master Apollo." It should be important if he is in such a hurry to tell him. Then let's not make Grandpa wait any longer. Let's go. Then they walked towards the hall, while Apollo sighed as he thought about the last 12 years he spent here and the changes that had taken place. Apollo was no longer a baby, but a 12-year-old kid with a handsome face and blue eyes. He had grown a lot as he stood tall at a height of 170 centimeters at such a young age. He had not just grown in height in these 12 years. He had fully integrated into the noble society without any technology or internet. He also understood what he needed to learn about the kingdom and the world in which they lived. First, the world or planet in which they live is called Ryan, named in ancient times after the legendary Ryan Empire conquered the whole world. But later, it was again divided into several small kingdoms due to numerous wars. After thousands of years of war and conflict, there are now 10 super empires with hundreds of small kingdoms that rule over the world. The kingdom of Ryaweth, where he and his Fletcher family reside, is just one of the hundreds of small kingdoms in the world. But even though it is just one of the hundreds of small kingdoms, its population is not small, as about 200 million people live here. There are over 500 barons in the kingdom, but most of them are weak, lacking sufficient resources or force to support their titles. Compared to them, the Fletcher family is in great condition, whether it be prosperity or strength. They can easily be ranked in the top 3 among all the barons in the Ryaweth kingdom. A few moments later, he came to the main meeting hall of the family, where his grandfather and parents were already waiting for him. "Haha, come, grandson, you have grown again in a few months." Grandfather Williams laughed as he saw his grandson, who seemed to have become stronger again in the few months of his absence. If it were first, he would be shocked by such a change, but in those past 12 years, he has become numb to the talent shown by his grandson. And now he is only waiting, as it is just a matter of time before their Fletcher family returns to their glorious time and even surpasses that to create a new legend that will shake the whole kingdom. "It's nothing, Grandpa. Now it is getting harder and harder to improve," Apollo said with a young, childish voice. Hearing the words, his parents and grandfather had an unnatural look on their faces as they felt Apollo's improvement was already monstrous. But to him, it was slow, which could not help but make them feel a little sad and see the real difference between them and true genius. But this thought appeared for a moment, as this was their son and grandson. They immediately feel proud, as in the future they will say in front of the world, "This genius is from their Fletcher family." "Grandpa, what was the reason you wanted to meet me today?" Hearing this, they snapped out of their thoughts and remembered what they were going to say. "Yes, it is quite important and a great chance for you, son." "Oh, a great chance. What is it?" Apollo became curious and immediately asked. "Tomorrow, Lady Roseate and swordmaster Aaron will visit our castle and stay here for a few days." "What? Swordmaster Aaron is coming here?" Apollo was shocked to hear this, as in these 12 years, he had learned about most of the big names in the kingdom, but nothing could be compared with the strongest 10 masters of the Ryaweth kingdom. They represent the pinnacle of power in the Ryaweth kingdom. Even outside the kingdom, they are still considered powerhouses not easy to mess with, and Swordmaster Aaron is one of them. But such an important person was coming here, which was shocking news and a bit strange at the same time. His grandfather continued with a serious tone. "So in those days, you have to show your talent to impress the swordmaster to get some guidance from him that will be a great help for your future." Although the swordmaster never took a disciple, maybe after seeing your talent, he might change his mind and take you as his first student. He was sure of his grandson's talent, which in his long life he had never seen. Even in his super empire, he believed his grandson could stand out on his own. In these 12 years, he tried to teach everything he could, but because his grandson learned everything just after seeing it one time, there's now nothing much left for him to teach. But Swordmaster Aaron is on an entirely different level, something he could not even think about. If Apollo gets some instruction, or, even better, becomes a student of the Swordmaster, he will reach a much higher state without any hurdles and may even go beyond their small kingdom, where he might compete with the strongest in Orion. So, this visit from a Swordmaster is really important for his grandson's future development. As Grandpa was thinking about this great chance, Apollo was thinking about something else. Why would such a big shot come here? Is there something worth it for Lady Roseate to come here with her uncle Swordmaster Aaron? There are not many things that can catch their eye in the whole kingdom, but suddenly they're coming here. It's not a simple matter. There should be something hidden in it, and his grandfather should know something as they are especially coming into their territory. But it should not be a bad thing. Otherwise, he would not be this happy. But this might indeed be a good chance to see the apex powerhouse of the kingdom and learn something if possible, as his training speed has slowed down multiple times since reaching his current stage. Due to the decline of their family in the last few centuries, most techniques and knowledge of Prana were lost, and the few skills or techniques still available in the family are not much of a high grade, but are mostly standard, weak methods. So he needs a good teacher who will teach him more advanced and better techniques. So be ready to welcome them tomorrow, and there should be no problem. Yes, they all nodded their heads, and then his parents left the place as they needed to prepare for welcoming the guests. Child, you also should be ready. Try to make a good impression on both of them. Apollo left the area, expecting to meet one of the strongest individuals in the kingdom. He continued his daily practice, and the day quickly passed, and the next morning came. In the early morning, servants started to prepare for the visit of Lady Roseate and swordmaster Aaron. The castle was meticulously cleaned, many delicacies were cooked, and security was tight with soldiers constantly monitoring. His grandfather and parents were restless, as they seemed to haven't slept last night. At that moment, a soldier came running and shouted without caring how tired he was, "Lord, they are coming. A small group of soldiers are coming this way. It should be Lady Roseate guards." "Lord Baron, are you sure?" "Yes, Lord, absolutely sure." "Okay, how far are they from here?" "Lord, they will arrive within an hour." "Good. Everybody, return to your position, be ready to welcome them, and make sure that no problem happens now." Instantly, all returned to their positions and waited for Lady Roseate and swordmaster Aaron. At that time, an hour away from Fletcher Castle, inside a beautiful and extravagant carriage, two people were sitting there and talking with each other. One figure exuded elegance and grace, a beautiful lady adorned with a crystal veil, radiating a regal aura that compelled others to unwittingly gravitate towards her. The other was an elderly gentleman in his 60s, bearing a cane and exuding a tranquil, serene aura that appeared to be in harmony with the very essence of nature itself. "Uncle, what do you think? Do you think this time we will find something?" Lady Roseate asked, feeling uncertain about their trip. "It's difficult to say, as what you want to find is not something easy to find. It has already been 1,000 years since somebody last saw it, so you need to be prepared to face disappointment." "I know, but even if the chances are low, I will not give up." "Sigh, let fate decide it." And with that, they ended their conversation as their party continued to move towards the Fletcher family's domain. Outside the castle of the Fletcher soldiers, servants, with Baron William and his family, were waiting. "Look, they are here." All of them looked in the distance and saw a small group of soldiers wearing high-quality armor with a carriage in the middle coming towards them. Even when they were still far from them, all of them, whether they were servants or soldiers, felt huge pressure as the air around them became heavier, and even they felt it was difficult to breathe. Apollo and his grandpa were all right, but that didn't mean they were proud. They understood how strong this 20-something group of guards was. Especially Apollo, who was the most surprised, as after he unexpectedly tried to open the mysterious gate in his mind, his senses became extremely sensitive, and that continued to grow over time. Now he can be sure that except for his grandpa, his sharp senses should be second to none in the Fletcher family. Because of this, he can judge the strength of the 20 guards, which shocked him. Every single one of them was strong. Their auras seemed to be just a little weaker than that of their grandfather, the strongest person in the whole Fletcher family, but such strong people were just guards. If the guards are this strong, then he really cannot fathom what level of strength one of the strongest swordmasters would have. He cannot seem to feel anything inside the carriage, as it seems to be made of special material, but he is now really looking forward to seeing it. Slowly, the carriage came closer to the castle, where all of them were waiting for them, and it stopped. The 20 guards instantly took their positions and divided into two, and then slowly, the door of the carriage opened. Zzzzz. A powerful burst of aura swept through, nearly knocking out everyone. Even Apollo felt intense pressure and was sweating profusely. He looked around, and his grandfather's expression was also different. This time, the whole thing was contrasting. It seems the stronger the person is, the more dread he will feel, which is why his parents, and even his grandfather were uncomfortable more than others. Everything becomes so silent that he can feel and hear the deep breaths of everyone as someone slowly steps out of the carriage. At that moment, an oppressive aura seemed to cover the whole castle. His mind went blank, his senses were overloaded with the danger signal, and even his body stopped working for a moment. Swordmaster Aaron was standing in front of everyone, as he took a few glances at people here and smiled. That unexpected, and all the pressure disappeared like that was just an illusion in their minds. Apollo also returned to normal, but his back was trenched in sweat as that fraction of a second felt like hell for him. His body and mind were shocked. He felt despair, again the feeling of not being able to do anything, which he never wanted to feel. He felt like an insignificant ant that could be crushed by a single glance. It was a terrifying feeling, but this experience further solidified his thoughts of becoming stronger. When he was at Master Aaron with a determined look, Master Aaron felt something and looked back at him with a smile, as if there was some meaning hidden in this smile. After that, Lady Roseate also came out of the carriage with a veil that seemed to cover her beauty, and then immediately Baron William came to them with a smile. Welcome to our Fletcher Castle. It's an honor for us to welcome Senior Aaron and young Lady Roseate. It's also our honor to visit the famous Fletcher family, which has been standing tall for 1,000 years. Lady Roseate also replied and said some good things, and then, with Swordmaster Aaron, they entered the castle. Apollo and others also followed them inside, where the servants had already prepared delicious food and drinks for them. The delicacies made today were the most extravagant food he had ever seen. Every single dish was made from the best and rarest ingredients that might have cost half a year's worth of tax money they get from their territory. There were many tables, and at the center of all, at the most magnificent table, Apollo and his family, Lady Roseate and Master Aaron were sitting. Let me introduce them to you. This is my son, John Fletcher, and his wife, Louise Fletcher. Nice to meet you. They greeted each other with a smile, and then finally, it was Apollo's turn. This is my grandson, Apollo Fletcher. As Baron William said, both Lady Roseate and Master Aaron look at Apollo. Master Aaron seems to already know how special Apollo is, but still, he looks carefully at him. On the other hand, Lady Roseate feels entirely different as she weirdly feels an aura that seems too similar to her. Oh, Baron William has a successor, Lady Roseate said with a mysterious smile as she felt something unusual about Apollo from other noble kids of similar age. She was not sure, but there seemed to be something that attracted her to Apollo. This was something she had never felt in her life, so now she is very interested in him. Apollo was also surprised by the praise of Miss Roseate, who was a few years older than him and felt a little weird about it. But he did not think much, although he felt she must be a kingdom-toppling beauty with a mysterious and unique aura. All that was not important to him. He is just 12, and although kids in this world grow quickly, he still feels it is not the time for him to focus on beauty. His current focus was on becoming strong, so he naturally wanted to talk with swordmaster Aaron instead. Indeed, a talent that is rare to see. Sitting next to the master, Aaron praised as he felt the strength of Apollo, who was hiding and suppressing his strength, but could not be hidden from him. He felt an abundance of life energy that would take decades from most people. But now, a 12-year-old kid has accumulated such strong life energy. Even in the kingdom capital, where geniuses gather with large resources and the best technique and training, there might not be more than 2 such geniuses in the same generation. If this were a capital and some duke place, he wouldn't be that surprised, as from their birth, numerous treasures, herbs, or potions were given to the child to amass life energy quickly. But Apollo here has reached such strength without the best teaching and resources, which was the biggest reason for his surprise. If he is not a genius beyond common sense, otherwise it would be impossible to reach his current strength. Seeing this made him want to accept students for the first time in his life. But this was not the time, as they had come here for another important reason, and he still needed to observe this kid, so he did not mention anything. Okay, now let's talk about the important matter, when you will take us to that place. Master Aaron did not waste any more time and asked his grandfather, Baron William, directly. Hearing the words, the atmosphere around them changed. Rosie had also looked at Baron William with a little bit of excitement, wanted to know more about him. That place is not very far. It takes about 2 to 3 hours to reach the place. Since Senior just arrived after taking some rest, we can then directly go there. Master Aaron looked at Roseate and then nodded. All right, let's do that. After that, they ate, drank, and talked a little about various things, but just as they were going to rest, Miss Roseate did something that surprised Apollo. As suddenly as her gold bracelet with a red crystal shone for a moment, from nowhere, a small bottle appeared in her hand. Space treasure. All of them were surprised to see this as a treasure related to space, which is very rare. They are so rare that even their Fletcher family did not have a single such treasure. Only a few marquis and higher title nobles might have 1 or 2 such treasures. Apollo then looked at the bottle in her hand, which seemed like a potion bottle, but it was blue, which he had never seen before. Although he did not know what that potion was, he had a feeling it was not an ordinary potion. It's an Arctic cleanse potion. A surprised voice came, which was from his mother. Oh, Lady Louise knows about this potion. Roseate was surprised that somebody here knew about this potion, as it is an ancient potion that not many people know about. Apollo was surprised a little, but his father and grandpa were not as surprised as they expected. As it seems, his mother's hobby of botany is more serious than he thought. It is an ancient potion that requires special sea beast blood with a 1,000-year-old ice crystal. It costs more than 100,000 crystal coins for a single potion like that. Even though it is hard to make, its effect is extraordinary, as this potion not only helps in opening new prana circuits, but also expands the circuits to be sturdier and stronger. It is a must for all the talented young warriors. Hearing this, all of them were surprised by the blue potion, as they had not expected it to be this useful. Take it. This should be helpful to you, Roseate said as she looked towards Apollo. What? All of them were shocked to hear her words about giving such a rare potion to Apollo. He was also surprised by the sudden generosity of Miss Roseate, as he could not figure out the reason, but he would not deny such a great gift. Ah, thank you, Miss Roseate, he said awkwardly. With that, they all went to rest, while Apollo went to ask his mother about the potion and what he needed to be careful of. Let's see, his mother said, taking the Arctic cleanse potion and opening the lid of the bottle. Zzzzzzz. A cooling sensation filled the room, and the temperature around them started dropping rapidly as a thin sheet of ice immediately covered the room. Good. She quickly closed the lid, and the freezing energy slowly started to fade away. It was better than she had thought. You can use it when you are in the best condition to get the best result, and it is not dangerous even though it seems dangerous, as the freezing energy is not a normal energy, but a special ice life energy that will improve your body. Apollo, standing behind, was quite surprised by the potion, but what was really unexpected was the new side of his mom he saw today. His mother seems to have extraordinary knowledge about medicine, herbs, or potions, which is beyond common knowledge. It seems that his mother also has some secrets of her own. But to fully absorb it, you will need at least 6 to 9 hours, give or take, so you cannot drink this now. As your grandfather wants, you go with them, so only later can you take it. Apollo agreed with his mother that a few hours later, they would leave. He did not have enough time to absorb the potion. So he went outside to do some light training while waiting and was curious about the place that made everyone so excited. A few hours passed. Everyone had enough rest and was ready for the adventure. In addition to the 20 guards of Miss Roseate, they took another 30 soldiers from their Fletcher family with Apollo, his grandfather, and his right-hand man, Grandpa Roman, who was his grandfather's best friend. Although his grandpa did not tell him where and why they were going, he was still very much looking forward to the kind of place they would go. This should be his first big adventure after being born in this world. During the last 12 years, he went on a few outside trips where he went to forests or mountains for hunting with others, but he thinks this time will be different. In those years, he never really got a chance to go all out, so even his parents and grandfather did not know his true strength because he was afraid showing too much might bring trouble. More importantly, he felt his body could not handle it as he was too young. Even now, he is not sure how much of his strength he can use, but it is still better than before. All of them were gathered from their estate and were ready to go. Everyone is here, so let's go. After that was said, Baron William and everyone else started their journey. Their group moved towards the southern side of their territory, crossing a few small towns, and came to an uninhabited area near small mountains. This environment was strange, as the air surrounding him seemed to have a different kind of energy than he had ever seen before. Apollo had been able to perceive energies in nature with his bare eyes at a young age, and he was now noticing strange purple energy particles in the air. It's there. His grandfather said this as he led the group to a corner hidden behind a tiny mountain. Seeing the scene in front of him, he was surprised because what he saw ahead was nothing but old ruins with houses, some broken statues, and glyphs on the walls. Old buildings with rubble thousands of years old or more were lying in front of them. Apollo was a little confused, but Roseate on the other side was a little excited. She quickly came close to the rubble and started to look around. Are they the real deal? Swordmaster Aaron came close to her and asked. Yes, they are, and the time period and glyphs also seem to match. This might be the right place. Roseate said, quivering with excitement, looking at the glyphs on the walls of the ruins as everything matched. Here, it is this place. Apollo's grandfather came in front of the ruined building and said to the swordmaster, this place. The swordmaster moved and tried to enter it, but suddenly something surprising happened, and he stopped. Bzzz. Bang. What this? He wasn't able to enter, as suddenly an invisible wall seemed to have appeared, stopping him from moving ahead. Seeing this slowly, all the soldiers and Apollo tried to enter, but, like before, an invisible wall seemed to be stopping them from approaching this place. Roseate started to look carefully to understand this invisible wall and how to pass through it. Roseate, what do you see? Master Aaron asked, as it seemed Roseate was an expert in old magic tricks or barriers. It's a runic barrier, old runic barrier with many loopholes. She started moving around as she looked at different buildings and finally came across a pillar with numerous weird symbols on it. Destroy it. She ordered her guards, and instantly, a guard came near the pillar, more than 10 meters tall and 3 meters wide, and punched in the air as he burst out with a fierce aura that shook the place. Air wave. The air around him started to vibrate, and a large amount of life energy burst out from his fist, creating large gusts of wind that seemed to destroy everything in their path. Zzz. Boom. A big explosion happened as the attack collided with a pillar, creating a large dust cloud that covered everyone present there. Crack, crack, crack. Bang. Strong. They are powerful, Apollo realized after feeling the strength of the guard as he blasted the pillar. Is it done? Somebody among the guards said after hearing the sound. Should be. Slowly, the dust settled, and a broken pillar could be seen as it was split into countless rubbles. Seeing this, Roseate tried to go into the ruined building, but this time, no invisible wall or barrier stopped her, and she easily, without any hindrance, entered the old place. Good, let's go. Immediately, all of them entered the place, and a few scouts went deeper into the ruin. The rest of them remained behind and moved slowly, waiting for the scouts to come back. Apollo was also looking forward to knowing what was in the ruin, which made them agitated. Grandpa, what is this place and what is inside? He came close to his grandfather and asked. Grandfather was not surprised by his grandson's question and said in a low voice, this place is Silver Age ruins. Silver Age ruins. Apollo was surprised that this ruin belonged to the Silver Age. If this ruin belongs to the Silver Age, it means that the ruins are about 7,000 to 10,000 years old. Planet Ryan civilization has a much longer history than Earth's and is divided into 5 distinct eras. They are Desolate Age, Divine Age, Golden Age, Silver Age, and at last the current era, New Age. Among them, the Silver Age is the smallest era, having only continued for 3,000 years, such that many intellectuals believe that this time period should not be considered an era at all. This was also the era when the Ryan Empire crumbled and was divided into numerous kingdoms by forces. It was the era of slaughter and massacre that destroyed many powerful ancient forces. This led to the loss of vast knowledge and the inheritance of prana and other divine arts, which weakened the strength of humans to another level. Even today, after thousands of years of reconstruction, we are still not close to that era. Now he finally understands why Swordmaster Aaron and Miss Roseate were so eager to come to this place. These ruins of the Silver Age might contain vast ancient knowledge or treasures that are hard to find in the current world. The value of these ruins can be immeasurable, depending on the things found inside them. As Apollo was talking with his grandfather, the scouts came back, and they seemed to have found something. "What have you found?" Roseate quickly asked them, as there was nothing around here except broken floors and dust. "There seems to be a way ahead that leads to an underground place beneath them, and there are things or someone that seems to guard the entrance." "Why something? Did you not see what was guarding that place?" "No, miss. That underground way is too dark to see anything, and we did not dare make a loud noise as we felt a dangerous, eerie aura there." Hearing the scout's report, Roseate felt that the underground place might be dangerous and could not help but ask her uncle's opinion. "Don't worry. They're an elite team and can handle the most dangerous situations. And if something unexpected happens, I will take care of it." After getting an assured answer from her uncle, she ordered the group to lead them to the underground passage. Apollo and everyone followed and were ready to face the first real challenge of their journey. They continued to go deeper and deeper, where they found broad stairs that seemed to lead to an underground place. As they came close to the stairs, everyone here felt a dark, eerie aura that creeped them out. "Let's go." Master Aaron took the lead and went down, and everyone then quickly followed him from behind. Slowly, they walked down the stairs that seemed to have no end. This place was so dark that even with their superhuman senses, they could not seem to see more than a few meters ahead of them. The dark, eerie aura seemed to interfere and block their senses heavily, which is why everyone was being extra careful of the current situation, as they did not know what they were going to face. "Careful, this place aura can corrode your body." Master Aaron felt something and quickly said it with vigilance, as the place was getting weirder and weirder. Apollo, on the other hand, felt a little different, as the eerie aura that entered his body was not able to corrode his body. Rather, it seemed to dissolve and merge with his life energy. This weird phenomenon surprised him. He looked and felt carefully to see if there were any other problems, but even after looking for some time inside his body, he did not find anything. "Ready? Something is coming." Master Aaron shouted, as he was the strongest and could see quite far even when this place blocks most of their senses. Apollo was also ready to face anything at that moment. "It's coming. Gur gur gur." From the shadow of darkness, a few beasts jumped ahead of them, and they saw the clear figure of the beast that stopped them. They were big wolf-like beasts with dark black fur, sharp claws, and teeth. Their size was at least 2 to 3 times bigger than that of ordinary wolves, but that was not the worst thing about them. The worst thing was that they did not feel any life energy, but rather the opposite of death energy, which they were afraid of. Apollo also felt the changes in everyone's mood, which did not surprise him. He knows the terror of death energy for any living being with a little bit of life force. Death energy is the nemesis of life energy as it corrodes and devours the life energy, which means every single attack from these beasts can be deadly for them as they latch onto the body like parasites and slowly devour their host. When they felt the weird, eerie aura, they expected something bad, but now the arrival of these beasts has already proved that this place is not an ordinary ruin. It's not that it is unbeatable. If there's enough support from life energy, they can counter death energy, but will burn their limited source of life energy quickly, and they also need to be careful to let it not penetrate their body. Otherwise, death energy will corrode them from within the body. "Son, stay behind me." Grandpa William did not expect to face death creatures here, so he wanted to protect his grandson. Apollo did not say anything to stop his grandfather, as he first wanted to see how those elite guards battled or see some glances at the kingdom's strongest. Attack! Half of the elite guards of Miss Roseate and the soldiers of the Fletcher jumped and collided with death beasts. Boom! Boom! Numerous attacks from beasts and soldiers collided, and shocking sightings appeared in front of them. After a single clash between them, the veterans gained a general understanding of their enemies. These beasts were faster than cheetahs, had skin harder than iron, and had claws sharper than swords that could easily penetrate armor. But that's not the problem here. The problem here is that, whether they have claws or jaws, they're covered in death energy, making every single attack on them deadly. Their bodies also seem to be resistant to life energy attacks. And for physical attacks, although they can damage them, these beasts feel no pain or fear, so unless they're fully squashed, they will continue their assault even when they are missing 1 or 2 legs. The battle between them continued. Various weapons clashed with the beasts as they all showed their strength. Although it was difficult to defeat those beasts, they were also not ordinary people instead. They were elites, so even with difficulties, they faced these beasts with calm tactics without doing anything unnecessary. Soldiers of the Fletcher family, under the command of Apollo's grandpa, surrounded the beasts and faced them in groups. They knew their exact roles and had a good understanding of each other. Their attacks were not flashy, but they used their combination to slowly kill them. While the guards around Roseate were strong individually and did not need one another's help, they, with their strong strength, dominantly faced the beasts. Every single sawing of their swords will create a large gust of wind, severing the beast's skin harder than metal. Apollo was standing behind him and was looking carefully at everything, waiting for his chance to battle. The battle continued for half an hour, as it was difficult to kill them, but now only a single wolf beast remained. Go! His grandfather said that the reason he brought his grandson was for experience, and death beasts are rare opponents for Apollo. Everyone is looking at Apollo, whether it is the soldiers, guards, or even Miss Roseate and Master Aaron. They are looking at how Apollo, a 12-year-old kid, will perform facing a formidable enemy. The death beasts are strong, and only a few people in the Fletcher family can single-handedly defeat them, so it was surprising that they were letting a kid face it alone. The wolf beast was 2 meters tall, with black fur and bloody red eyes, and was surrounded by the soldiers. It had many cuts and bruises on its body, but it did not decrease its ferocious nature. Apollo drew his sword from his scabbard, jumped, came near the beast, and started circling it. The soldiers moved back a little, but were ready to take action if Apollo was in danger. Although he looked like a kid, he was calm and collected, not like a child. His eyes were clear as he was looking at the enemy ahead of him. Immediately, a burst of life energy came out of his body, and instantly, a light blue aura covered him from inside to outside. The sword started glowing and became crystal white, and it started to release a chilled, cold aura. His deep breath can be seen as the temperature around him seems to have dropped. Oh, mutated prana. Master Aaron and Roseate were surprised to see that the life energy of Apollo is a rare mutated ice element life force. On the other side, his grandfather and Fletcher's family soldiers were feeling proud. Usually, life energy does not have different properties. When used correctly, it can be used to heal or destroy enemies. But mutated life forces are different as they have certain properties that make them stronger in that particular area. Like life energy with fiery flame energy, which has extraordinary destructiveness, or water or light life energy, which is often better at healing than usual life energy. Especially light life energy. Their healing abilities are off the charts. They can even regrow missing hands or legs easily. So mutated life energy is the synonym for genius in the world of Ryan. Almost every powerhouse that has left its name in history has some sort of mutated life energy. Even when there are hundreds of warriors present here, except swordmaster Aaron, no one else has mutated life energy. Now, after seeing that, Apollo not only awakened mutated life energy, but also a strong ice life force that is good in both offense and defense, an ideal life force with no particular weakness, which was shocking news for them. Apollo did not wait anymore, as he stepped with fast speed and came close to the beast. His movement was so quick that the beast did not even get the time to react before he came close to it. He slashed toward the wolf beast, but instead of cutting the beast, a clank sound similar to metal colliding was heard. As he was about to attack again, a giant claw attacked him instantly, and he also quickly used his sword to block the attack. Apollo's sword and the beast's claw immediately collided, knocking him a few meters backwards. Such strong strength and defense. Apollo's hands were shaking after he clashed with the beast. The strength and defense of the beast were high, as his sword only left a small mark with chilling cold energy on it. However, the frigid cold energy vanished as it was rapidly absorbed by the death energy. If other monsters were tainted with his ice-cold life energy, their blood and organs would begin to freeze, but these death beasts are natural nemesis of life energy. No matter what form of life force they encounter, death energy devours them. Seeing this, he understood that his normal attack could not do much damage unless he burst out with all his life energy. So instead, he wanted to use his life energy more efficiently. He was going to use the prana skill. Prana skills are not just simple utilization of life energy. They are more complex and mysterious. To use prana skills, one needs to combine multiple prana circuits in a person's body. When a person opens his first prana circuit, he gains the ability to control his life energy and becomes a glorious warrior. But it was just the beginning. To continue to grow stronger and reach a higher state, he needed to open more prana circuits. Those prana circuits are like hidden treasures that, with every breakthrough, will bring out the hidden potential of the person. The prana skills are the unique ways that use more than one prana circuit to bring out unimaginable strength. But opening new prana circuits is not easy. It takes decades of training and hard work for most people to open a single prana circuit. Not to mention that later on, with an increase in the number of prana circuits, the difficulty increases exponentially. But even the simplest skill needed 2 prana circuits to use them. So generally, new warriors who opened only one prana circuit could not use prana skills. But Apollo was not a newbie, even though he was a 12-year-old child. He had surprisingly opened 4 prana circuits that make him elite, even in the entire Fletcher family, which was quite unthinkable for most warriors, as many might not open this many prana circuits in their entire lives. But he did it at such a young age. There are not many skills in their family. But he was now going to use the simplest prana skill that only needed 2 prana circuits to use, which might not be his strongest skill, but was more than enough for the current enemy. SZZZZ. Immediately, Apollo's aura became fiercer, and the aura on his sword became turbulent as the chilling, cold life force started to freeze things. Ice cutting. The aura around his sword that turbulent moment ago became still, and the chill around it seemed to have disappeared. The sword seems to have changed into an ice crystal sword without releasing any chilling aura. All the soldiers and guards watching also noticed the change in Apollo and quickly understood what was happening while feeling surprised. This kid can already use prana skills. Gore, gore. The beast also instinctively felt the danger from the sword in Apollo's hand and quickly jumped toward him, wanting to kill him as fast as possible. Apollo was not surprised by the death beast reaction. He instead expected it. Burst. Instantly, he exploded with speed, many times faster than before, and disappeared in front of the beast. What? This sudden shift of gears surprised everyone. Apollo's movement was so fast that the beast lost his sight for a moment, but that moment was enough for him. Cut! As he swung his crystal ice sword, aiming at the neck, it glowed for a second and sliced through the death beast's skin and bones, which were apparently harder than iron, like a thin sheet of paper, severing its head from its body. There was absolute silence in the whole place as they saw how a 12-year-old kid, with ease, killed a death beast. Not to mention, even Grandpa William was a little surprised by the strength shown by Apollo. Apollo had not just used a prana skill, but rather 2 skills at the same time, meaning he had opened at least 4 prana circuits. Opening 4 prana circuits at such a young age was something that only the absolute geniuses of the Duke or royal family could do. But now, in front of them, a kid from a Baron family has done the same thing. To be able to achieve such strength in the Baron family was something unheard of, but they were sure this kid ahead of them was a monstrous genius who was hard to see in the entire kingdom. After the shocking moment, Grandpa William quickly came running to him. "Kid, you really know how to hide. Even I didn't know when you became this strong." Although he was saying things, inside he was feeling proud, and the grin on his face can be seen. "All right, let's go ahead." Master Aaron broke the moment as he glanced at Apollo. They still have not reached the main place that this path leads to. Rosie had also looked at Apollo for a moment while thinking something, and then they all quickly started to move ahead. Seeing this, Apollo, Grandpa William, and their family soldiers also started to follow their lead. They knew now that this ruin would be dangerous, and the current encounter was just a warm-up for the dangers they were going to face ahead. As they walked in the darkness, they finally saw a bright light ahead. Seeing this, they all became alert, as they did not know what they would face behind the light. Be alert. As they came close to the light and crossed it, the view around them seemed like they were in an entirely new place. They were standing in front of a giant altar with weird marks similar to the pillars outside the ruins. On the altar, there was something weird to see, similar to a throne. It was inlaid with 3 red crystals and was releasing some weird bloody aura that they had never seen. The whole place was enormous and filled with an eerie and gloomy aura. Blood crystal. Rosie had saw the throne and the red crystals inlaid on it. "Finally, I found it. Are you sure?" Master Aaron asked with enthusiasm, as they had been searching for this for many years and almost lost their hopes of finding it, but now they finally saw it. "Sure, Uncle. I will never be mistaken about it. It is exactly similar to the small piece we had previously. And not only is the piece of bloodstone here bigger, but there are 3 of them embedded in that unknown throne." Both of them were looking at the bloodstone from a distance with expectation, as they had finally found it. Apollo also noticed the direction in which they were looking and understood from the expression that they had found the thing that they were looking for. But after that, he started to look around, and everything around him, even the bricks and tiles on the floors, seemed to be made of a rare material he had never seen. Seeing this, he could not help but think the ancients were rich. Even their trash could be a great treasure for them. If they now sell a few bricks from here, they might earn good money. They slowly walked toward the center, where the giant altar stood tall. But just as they came close enough, something unexpected happened. Bang! The floor beneath them started to glow with various cryptic symbols, and an unknown, mysterious energy covered the entire underground place. What the hell is happening? All of them could not understand anything and were shocked by the big movement in the underground place. But this was far from over, as the mysterious energy that covered them changed and turned into a transparent wall, which seemed to be trapping them within the weird underground place. Seeing this, everyone's mood changed, and they started to feel anxious about the sudden change. Did we just get trapped here? As the floor stopped glowing, all of them looked around to see that the whole underground ruin was covered in barriers. Go see. Immediately, soldiers spread out to try to see if they could leave this place. They quickly came close to the barrier, and one soldier attacked with his sword. Bang! The barrier remained motionless without a single movement, but the sword of the soldier was knocked backward by a strong opposite force. The soldier was surprised, and he did not believe in evil. He used his strongest prana skill and slashed the barrier, but just like before, it did nothing. Instead, an equally devastating force knocked him down. Boom! All of them quickly came to help seeing this, and were gravely looking at the veil that was trapping them. This veil-like barrier not only seems to hold our attacks, but even can reflect that attack towards us. Master Aaron said, as he understood the kind of barrier that had covered them. "Yes, Uncle, you are right. This is a special force barrier that is difficult to break through. It is even mentioned in ancient books." Rosie had said as she walked to her uncle at the edge of the barrier veil with a serious expression on her face. "So, Lady Roseate, did the book also mention how to break this veil?" On the other side, Grandpa William came and asked, as this place seemed dangerous and all of his soldiers were feeling anxious trapped in this weird underground ruin with an altar. "No, that book was in fragments and most of it was lost." She also wanted to know that and assure them, but the truth was sad. She did not have much knowledge about this barrier and the altar behind it. In truth, that altar was the main thing that was giving her bad signals. In the history of Ryan, most altars like this do not represent good things, which is why she was also feeling a little anxious. Hearing this, everyone feels bad that even Miss Roseate, who is known for her vast knowledge, did not know how to break this veil barrier. "Don't worry, I am here. You all be alright. Even if the veil can reflect our attacks with full force, there has to be a limit to how much it can handle. We just needed to attack with such strength that it was beyond its capability. Looking at everyone's mental condition, Master Aaron said these to boost their morale, as he's one of the strongest people in the kingdom, and this veil would not be able to stop him. Uncle, I think we should not directly attack the veil to destroy it, as it may lead to activating other traps. Only in the worst-case scenario should we take that step. And before all of that, we should look at the altar and the bloodstone there, and maybe we will find other ways to leave. Rosie had interrupted her uncle as she felt it was still risky to do that, and they still have some options available here, so it's best to solve the problem without brute force. Everyone agreed after hearing her opinions, as they should not be hasty in these ruins, where who knows how many dangers and traps are hidden in them. They all carefully walked step by step, looking at every brick and tile on the floor, hoping not to activate some other mechanisms. After a few minutes of carefully walking around, they finally came close to the altar, which was giving them a creepy feeling. Apollo was silent throughout the whole scenario, as there was not much he could do in such a situation as he was just a talented young kid, but here it was of no use. But looking at the altar, the only thing important was the glowing bloodstones on the throne, which were practically screaming, "This is a trap," but he did not say anything. He is not the only one who understands this. Most of them understand it, and whether this is a trap or not matters here the most. Master Aaron and Miss Rosie came to this backward place for these bloodstones, which seemed very important to them since they had been trying to find them for many years. And now that bloodstones were just ahead of them, how could they leave them behind when they were right in front of them? What is more important is whether they are really in trouble. Apollo did not think that. How can one of the strongest people in the kingdom, who stands above millions of people, be stopped by some barrier? At that time, Master Aaron said as he walked towards the throne inlaid with the bloodstones, "I'm going to take out the bloodstone. Be ready." Everyone became careful and held their weapons tightly as they might face dangers. Master Aaron came close to the throne, releasing a bloody aura because of the bloodstones, and without waiting, he quickly grabbed the bloodstone. The moment Master Aaron grabbed the bloodstone, the moment Master Aaron took the bloodstone off the throne, the earth beneath them was shaking with great force. What's happening now? All of them seemed to break dancing because of the strong, irregular tremors, making it difficult for most to remain standing. The altar also changed as it started to release a devious, dark, poisonous aura that seemed to fill the entire underground ruin. "Don't breathe. Hold your breath." Master Aaron was the closest, so he immediately warned everyone to be careful and hold their breath. But it was far from over, and from beneath the altar, suddenly tentacles made of shadows appeared and attacked Master Aaron as he was taking the remaining bloodstones. The attack was instantaneous and fast. It was absolutely unexpected because of the poisonous, dark aura, which seemed to hide its aura. If it had been someone else, he could have been caught off guard by the surprise attack, but the target now was Master Aaron, whose swordsmanship had advanced to the highest extent, and his every action was instinctual, so he didn't need to see anything to attack. Many shadow tentacles from behind moved towards Master Aaron, but without looking back, he just held his sword cane lightly, and instantly, he seemed to have completely changed. He swung his sword, but it was so fast that nobody saw it. Only when the aftershocks came did they understand it. Easy. Bang. And all those tentacles were sliced into thousands of pieces with a loud explosion. Apollo and others looked at the scene with a shocked feeling, as for the first time, they had seen a master swordsman attack. Apollo was the most shocked, as although he did not see how the sword moved because it was too fast, what was incredible was that in these attacks he did not feel an ounce of life energy. Instead, such devastating force was achieved just by raw physical strength. Truly worthy of being the strongest, a senior does not even need to use life energy to defeat such things. After dealing with this master, Aaron returned to them, but the dark shadow-like things did not stop and continued to come out from beneath the altar in large quantity, trying to swallow everyone. "We have to leave this quickly. Let's go." Apollo and his grandfather, along with their soldiers, followed the Master Aaron's lead and ran with their might. But those shadows did not make this easy for them, as all of them were assaulted by numerous shadows from different directions. Ready to battle, everybody took their weapons out and charged, swinging them toward the shadows that attacked them. Apollo was also in this group. As the situation became chaotic, everyone needed to do their best, as now it was not a training session, but a real life and death situation. He moved with fast and accurate movements without wasting any strength or life force. He made multiple swings with his sword, slashing many shadow tentacles in his path. His sword was fast, as they would leave an afterimage after every single lethal strike from him. And if you looked carefully, they had a certain charm similar to the sword movement of Master Aaron's previous strike. Although he was not able to fully see and mimic that strike, it still gave him some hints, which increased his swordsmanship understanding. Every sword of his was meant to destroy his target as these countless weird shadows tried to swallow them. But this intense and nerve-wracking situation meant he needed to improve, which he could not feel in his usual training sessions. So at this moment, every time he swings his sword, he improves and understands new things about swordsmanship. He was now in a zone of his own where his mind was only concentrated on improving his swordsmanship. And slowly, his swordsmanship started to get faster, better, and beyond ordinary human understanding. But others were not in the same situation, as with time, no matter how many of those weird tentacles they cut, in the end, they would return stronger with an increase in their number. As if this trouble was not enough, the severed tentacles suddenly started to fuse. What this? Stand azide. Without waiting a second, Master Aaron, whose eyes glowed with lightning as he took out his cane sword, started to release lightning bolts. Wrath of Thunder God, Master Aaron said in a clear and calm voice, and swung his sword, which seemed to break some barriers as the surroundings changed, and the whole underground ruin shook with a blue lightning aura. The lightning was so eye-blinding that everyone closed their eyes, except Apollo, who was still looking at the sword. Boom! Boom! A beam of lightning traveled hundreds of meters within a second, while ravaging everything in its path, whether the dark shadows or the barrier that seemed to be trapping them. This lightning destroyed everything. Damn! All of them almost shit their pants, seeing the destruction caused by the single attack of Master Aaron. The whole place seems to have been destroyed, creating a hundreds of meters-long crater, describing the devastating power of that single attack. This is not something humans can do. Indeed, as expected of the strongest masters of the kingdom, they are all beyond human limits and closer to divine beings. The soldiers all started whispering and talking after seeing the divine might of Master Aaron that leveled the place. Apollo was still lost in thought of Master Aaron's lightning attack, as he seemed to have seen a lightning god in it and felt a mysterious power that seemed to transcend the world. But just as all of them were feeling relieved as the danger seemed to have disappeared from beneath their feet, suddenly the weird shadow appeared again, which seemed to have been waiting for this moment, and instantly swallowed half of the people and disappeared, leaving everybody shocked. Even Master Aaron did not expect this and could not do anything. Apollo! Grandpa William also came to his senses and roared, realizing that Apollo was also within the swallowed group. Apollo, on the other hand, broke free from his trance and opened his eyes in a pitch-dark place. Although he was in a trance, he still knew that he was suddenly swallowed by the shadow, and since it seemed he was not dead, there was a chance to leave this place alive, which he needed to find quickly. He tried to see where he was, but he could not see anything or feel any other presence around him. It is also possible that this place can interfere with his senses, and he might not be the only one present here. Hello, is there anyone here? He still tried and shouted to see if there was anyone here, but the result disappointed him, as it seemed he was the only one there. But just at that time, the surroundings around him started to change with a sudden, eye-blinding brightness, and he seemed to appear in the backyard. He was not in an unfamiliar backyard, but in the backyard of his family's castle, where he had trained every day for most of his life. The sky was bright with the sun shining brightly, and birds were chirping while cool breezes blew. Is this an illusion? Why I am here? He was surprised that suddenly he seemed to appear here, but what was shocking was the feeling he felt when he tried to touch and feel the land, grass, and everything else seemed so true. The feeling of smell and touch seems too real. If he had not fought for his life a moment ago, he might believe he returned to Fletcher's castle. As he was mesmerized by how good this illusion, or whatever this was, the sky above his head suddenly changed as the bright sun became bloody red. The chirping of birds stopped as a silent, eerie feeling permeated, and a portal that seemed to break the sky appeared with a person seeming to walk out of it. What the FK? The person who walked out was not someone else, but himself. At least their faces looked exactly the same as he was looking in the mirror. He was flabbergasted, as he did not expect this turn of events. He is now facing a twin, and it seems to be an evil twin. As he can see the cockiness on this Apollo's face, plus he did not want to admit it, but the badass entry with such a dark background setting, he is 99% sure that it's an evil twin. But this was better than being dead. When he was swallowed by shadow, it was so fast that he could not do anything. Now that these weird things are happening in front of him, which means there is still a chance that he can leave this place alive. Since there was hope, all he needed to do was try with all his might, as he did not want to die while lying down like in his previous life. The moment Apollo understood that he had been given a second chance, he made up his mind that he did not want to feel the same despair and wait for death. Rather, he would fight to the bitter end of it, whether he could survive or not. You look quite confident, as if you can leave this place. With a smirk, the evil Apollo said as he looked towards him. I'm not confident, but if it's just you, then maybe. Apollo also exchanged a few words with his evil twin, feeling a little awkward to talk to himself. You will know in a few moments that you remained here for eternity while I roam the world and kill, FK, and devour everyone you know or care about. Apollo was surprised by hearing his mirror twin's words, as it was not some illusion but a real entity, and wanted to take his place. The evil twin Apollo's aura started to change and release a powerful, darker aura similar to the death beasts he faced before in the ruins. But at the same time, it was different from the death energy he felt from those beasts. Apollo quickly adjusted his state as he felt danger from his twin. His aura also changed, and the surroundings around him started to freeze. But this time, this change was not just ending their chilling cold ice aura around him, continued to merge with his body. His entire physical appearance started to transform. His eyes and hair slowly turned crystal white, and his skin became fairer. His entire look was completely different from before. If he were to stand before others, many might not even be able to identify him. The backyard started to freeze, and in a few moments, half of the entire backyard was completely frozen. Because of both Apollo's auras, the place was utterly divided. One half was like a frozen hell, with all living things frozen in the movement they made, while the other half was a black, horrible hell full of death and blood. Looked like it's going to be fun. Both of their hands have different energies. In Apollo's hand, his ice life force turned into a long blue ice sword with chilling cold energy. On the other hand, his evil twin's death energy turned into a dark pitch black spear with a blood aura on it. Let's see who's better. The evil Apollo cannot seem to wait any longer, as he was the first one to initiate the attack, and with speed that seemed to break the sound barrier. The spear in his hand was aimed directly at Apollo's head with the clear intent to kill. Apollo's eyes glowed with a cold glow, just like his counterpart. He was also not going to show any mercy to his enemy, because their faces were the same. He also moved with super fast speed with his blue eye sword and clashed with his evil twin. Bang! Both of their weapons collided with one another, creating such a large shock wave that the land beneath them started to be torn apart by the devastating force. Clang! 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 They exchanged a few more moves, each carrying a heavy weight and deadly intent. Back off! Both of them moved backwards after they gauged each other. Not bad for a weak Pui. You are better than I thought, but it looks like your strength is not much. The evil Apollo grinned, as he seemed to see his weakness. He did not shit-talk, but again attacked, and immediately used his two prana skills, Ice Cut and Speed Boost, which are the simplest skills but quite effective, increasing his damage and speed. He moved swiftly and slashed his evil twin with the fury of multiple slashes. Every single slash from him was so sharp that it could cut boulders like paper, and it had a chilling aura that would freeze anyone to death. The evil twin also didn't hold back, as it also used prana techniques. Death Piercing, Ice Cut. Both of their attacks collided, creating shock waves with a chill to freeze humans and a bloody aura to loosen their minds. They continued to move and attack each other, going toe-to-toe, as it seemed no one was able to gain any advantage over each other. But Apollo was the one who was feeling the greater pressure, as in reality he was still being pushed and just holding it back without doing much damage. He wanted to finish this battle quickly, as he had limited time to finish it off, but it looked like it was going to be difficult. You're looking anxious. It seems you're not feeling good. Your movement is getting slower. Is it because the transformation is too much for you? Apollo, hearing the words, didn't say anything, but he knew that the evil twin's words were right. That must be right. Otherwise, how could you be this strong? Then, I just need to hold you back for some time, and then I will devour you when you are the weakest. His transformation is not without disadvantages, as first, it takes too much life force, and second, it takes a huge toll on his body. He can maintain this state for a few minutes, and if used more than that, his internal organs would start to freeze, resulting in his death. He learned this transformation at the age of 10 by accident, which almost killed him, but luckily, he stopped at the right time. Otherwise, who knows what the consequence would be. After that incident, he continued to train, and after 2 years of training, he could barely maintain it for 2 minutes. This can be said to be his killer weapon that no one knows, not even his grandfather. This transformation is very strong. It does not boost his strength in just one direction, but focuses on all-around improvement. If this were a game, then his every stat after transformation would increase at least 2 to 3 times. Not to mention his chilling cold energy, which also became so much stronger that a single touch from him could freeze people, giving them an instant death. Since he thought his enemy was strong, he wanted to end this quickly without much damage, but after their small clashes, he understood that his mirror twin was not weaker than him at all, and the longer it took, the worse the situation became for him. He has to quickly deal with his evil twin, otherwise, this will be his end. To swiftly end this, he had to use his best self-made prana skill, which he created a month ago. The problem with this skill is that it is unstable, and he never did it correctly. But he believes he can do it now, as today he felt his understanding of life energy increase exponentially, which might have taken him years to understand normally. He had to say that battling tough opponents in life or death situations is the best way to bring out the potential, and he himself felt the improvements in a single day. Apollo, whose aura was a snow flurry, transformed into a snowstorm, and the already low temperature started to fall even more to an inhumane degree. The balance situation between them seemed to have broken as Apollo's aura seemed to overwhelm the evil twin and started to suppress him. Even the backyard, which was only half frozen, started to freeze, fully suppressing the gloomy, bloody death aura. Evil Apollo's expression changed as he saw the situation. He felt a great danger from Apollo that he could not believe, as the chill even started to freeze his body and the bloody death energy could not seem to stop it, making him afraid. No, you can't be this strong. You are just a coward without strength. This bluff cannot defeat me. His eyes became blood red, and half of his skin turned black, with blood markings all over him. Yusti, accept your fate. Evil Apollo seems to have lost his cool as it jumped towards him, not wanting to give him time to do something. It's not me who needs to accept his fate. It's you, Ice Nova. Instantly, Apollo burst with a tremendous amount of life energy, and immediately, with fast speed, everything around him started to freeze, even the oxygen in the air around him. Evil Apollo immediately got caught up with it. As it was an omnidirectional attack, he was not able to evade it, and right away, he turned into a big chunk of ice. But his attack did not stop even after his enemy was caught, and it continued to travel and stop until hundreds of meters of area around him turned into an iceberg. Seeing all of this, Apollo, who was finding it difficult even to stand, sighed in relief, and immediately, his aura continued to drop at an alarming rate, and he returned to his normal state. A smile appeared on his face as he saw the devastating power of his self-created skill, Ice Nova, which uses all 4 of his prana circuits at the same time to create a deadly cold wave that freezes everything in its path. The only problem with this skill is that it cannot differentiate between friend and foe, so everything within his range will get caught and frozen, and it needed too much life force to use as, with his current strength, he could only use it 2 or 3 times. If he tried to use more than that, he might suffer excessive loss of life force and could die. So it can only be used as a trump card, not as a regular means in battle. Although there were some problems, it was without doubt a powerful skill that he created himself. As he was feeling happy, suddenly his head started spinning and the surroundings around him started to change. The sky with the blood-red sun disappeared, and the backyard changed as he appeared to be sitting in a completely different place. FK. As he opened his eyes, the first thing he saw was a dead skeleton appearing in front of him, which surprised him, but after a second, he calmed down and looked around. He seemed to appear in some sort of cemetery, and the dead body in front of him was giving him a familiar feeling like he had seen it before. The cemetery was the biggest cemetery he had ever seen, as he saw thousands of tombs. He could not guess the total number of tombs unless he looked carefully, but according to his guess, there might be more than 10,000 tombs buried here. He then focused on the skeleton in front of him, which was surprisingly lying outside the tomb ahead of him. This skeleton was wearing armor and was holding a spear, and after carefully looking at it, he surprisingly felt a similar aura that he felt in the illusion or dream, whatever that was. Could this person be the mirror twin he met in the illusion? But how? Shouldn't he be dead? But then again, Ryan had many mysterious creatures, like those death beasts that were said to be from the divine era hundreds of thousands of years ago, but they still exist, so it might be possible. Apollo felt this should be the truth. Except for having the same face, everything about that twin was different, whether it was fighting style or personality. It was not like him, but entirely different from some other person. And his talk about devouring him might be true, as that illusion should be in the mind, and they battled to determine who would control the body. He won, so he returned perfectly to the real world, but that person completely lost his soul. That must be. The more he thought, the more he felt this should have happened. He quickly got closer to the skeleton and looked at the spear and the armor, as they seemed to be of such high quality that even after thousands of years, there wasn't much damage to them. They seem to be made of rare materials that are hard to find now. After some simple patching, they will not be different from the entire new weapon. He wore the armor, took the spear, and started to move while looking for treasures, as this place has thousands of tombs. If he digs some tombs, he should find great things. He looked around and tried to find extravagant tombs or tombs that were in great shape. Although it's not glorious to dig other people's tombs, knowing these tombs might carry hundreds of treasures that cannot be bought outside, he cannot stop. After some time, he found some such tombs and dug them out, but he did not get much as, although from the outside, they looked good after digging, he found mostly trash. Most of the weapons and armor he found were in much worse condition than the armor he found at the first tomb. Most of them were in such a degraded state because they seemed to be corroded by the death energy that they were no different from scraps. But he still did not give up completely and moved ahead to look for better treasures. Just as he looked around, he saw something surprising. He saw a person sitting with closed eyes in front of a tomb, but it seemed that he was covered in some unknown aura. His eyes can see weird, tiny energy particles in the air that seemed to cover the person and the tomb. When he came closer, he instantly knew who was sitting ahead. He was none other, but the soldier named Mark from the Fletcher family came here with him and, like him, was swallowed by the shadow. Seeing this, he quickly ran toward Mark, who still seemed to be an illusion. After coming closer to him, Apollo looked at the tomb and Mark carefully, but he did not find a solution. He did not try to awaken him forcefully from the outside, as he did not know what impact that would have on Mark. Such a forceful method might lead to an even more devastating result. But the situation was getting worse, as he was feeling weird power within Mark, which was getting larger and larger. If Apollo could not find a way, something worse was going to happen, but he did not find anything around Mark and the tomb. But after some time, he comes to a difficult conclusion. The arrangement of this power is beyond his understanding, and he can only wait, hoping Mark can come through on his own. Slowly, the eerie power increased, and boom. Mark suddenly opened his eyes, releasing large shock waves of deadly energy. The sudden change shocked Apollo, as he felt that the aura of Mark had completely changed, like that of an entirely different person. There was an unpleasant, evil aura on him, and the look in his eyes was full of killing intent. "Uncle Mark, are you okay?" Apollo asked as a pessimistic thought came into his mind, seeing those subtle changes in him. But Mark didn't ask, as he seemed to not hear him, and instead was looking at himself with curiosity, like everything was new to him. "Uncle Mark," Apollo again shouted, hoping to see some answers from him. But his expectations were immediately destroyed as Mark replied, without looking, in an unexpected way. "Brat, stop babbling. If you continue to annoy me, I won't even give you a chance to run." "Uncle Mark, what are you talking about? What happened? Why are you acting like this?" Apollo continued to ask as his voice seemed sad. But Mark seemed angered by these naggings. "Brat, do you want to splat, splat, wah." He could not say any more words as the moment he moved his head, a sword pierced his neck, and blood started gushing out, splashing around him. "Look, it's not my turn to die." Splash. Mark's dead body fell to the ground with open eyes, as the unknown soul in the body couldn't believe that he would unexpectedly die at the hands of a kid. Sigh. Looking at the dead body, Apollo could feel a little uncomfortable and sad, as he was a good soldier. He had seen and even talked with him a few times before. But, sadly, he had to kill him with his own hands. It still feels uncomfortable to kill. He could not help but remember the first time, when he was just 10 years old, his grandpa took him to kill a prisoner. That time, he felt so horrible that he threw up many times, did not eat or sleep for 3 days straight, and even had nightmares about it. But it didn't stop. As to make him accustomed to the feeling of killing every month, he had to kill at least one prisoner, and this continued for a year. So, in that year, he killed 12 humans. Although most of them had committed heinous crimes and were not good people, it still had a great impact on his mind, which at that time still had the mindset of a lawful person. But after a year, his mind adjusted and got used to the feeling of murder. After coming to this world, he almost forgot that even if his family is good and loving to him, that doesn't mean this world is the same, as no matter how loving his family and others were to him, outside this castle, they have taken the lives of dozens or hundreds of people. Whether it's a man or woman, they would not hesitate when facing the enemies, as showing mercy might bring disaster to them and the whole Fletcher family. So, with that in mind, from an early stage, most noble heirs are trained to control their emotions and kill without burden. Apollo snapped out of his previous memory, as now he had a bigger problem to face. It seemed that all the people caught might be facing the same problem. They all have to battle the enemy and defeat it in their minds. Otherwise, their souls will be swallowed and their bodies will be taken over by others. There might be another possible way to save them, but he did not have any idea about it. So the only thing he can do is kill them, as this invader occupying other bodies will not leave him alone, and he believes they also did not want someone to take over bodies and kill their loved ones. Although he duped this person with his acting and sneak attack to kill him swiftly, it will not always succeed, and there should be many more like him, as the shadow caught 24 soldiers with him. He cannot be sure he can defeat so many of them, as the souls that seem to have taken over the bodies are not weak. He needs to be as careful as he can and kill them without wasting his energy, as he is still not fully recharged from the battle in the dream that somehow seems to have affected his body and mind in the real world. Apollo cannot transform into Ice Lord form with the current condition of his body, so he's going to try to stay away from them if possible and do some sneak attacks when necessary. And if it fails, he will run with all his might. He checked Mark's body in the tomb, and like before, he found nothing. So he checked the dead skeleton's body in the tomb, but still didn't find anything unusual until a golden ring with an inlaid small black crystal on his finger caught his eye. He felt the ring was a little different, but didn't know how it was different except for the unusual black crystal. Apollo knew that various treasures and artifacts needed life energy to activate them. So he quickly started to pour his life energy into the ring. The ring rapidly started to absorb his life energy and started to glow, and instantly, a bow and armor appeared in front of him. Seeing this, he was surprised, and why wouldn't he be? Space treasure. He instantly knew that this ring was a rare space treasure that could not be bought with money alone. Apollo didn't expect that he would get such a surprise on a dead skeleton's body. Now, even if he finds nothing ahead, he will still make money by getting this single space treasure. Since he found space treasure in this body, it means when this person was alive, he was not an ordinary person, and Apollo was glad that he took care of him quickly. Otherwise, he did not know what would happen. After that, he looked at other things which were also in the space ring. There were only two things: armor and a bow with a mysterious force in it. The armor was in a similar condition to the first armor he got, but what made his eyes glow was the treasure bow he found with it. The bow was silver-colored with a crimson bowstring and had a chilling aura that made Apollo, who was resistant to cold shivers. There was a mysterious aura within that bow which seemed to attract him, as the life energy inside him seemed to be shaking with eagerness. He wanted to swallow that energy. He didn't wait, as he wanted to know his life energy was trembling with excitement, and he touched the bow that was releasing the soul's freezing chill. The instant he touched the bow, the life force within him started rioting and started to absorb the mysterious cold energy in it. The mysterious energy traveled from body to vein to the prana circuits hidden in the body and started to slowly change his life energy from within. His light blue-colored life force slowly started to compress while becoming denser and clearer, with a slight silvery life force appearing inside. But the change didn't stop there, as after his life, energy stopped compressing and instead burst out like a flood traveling throughout his body. The outburst was so large that Apollo felt his body would explode, but with his strong and calm mind, he held himself as the life force flooded his body. He felt everything in his body was breaking, but when he thought everything was done, the damaged organs and veins felt a new wave of energy. Different from before, it was gentle, and all the damage slowly began to heal. This torturous situation of getting destroyed and healing continued for a few minutes, where he maintained an absolute concentration on his body. He was surrounded by a soul-freezing aura that was so cold that the surroundings around him instantly got covered in ice, causing the temperature to drop rapidly, and Apollo himself seemed to have frozen within. Crack, crack. But slowly, the aura around him calmed down, and the ice around him started breaking, and finally, the ice that covered Apollo shattered. Apollo opened his eyes, which now had a silvery glow, and the cold energy around them disappeared like it was never there before. A smile appeared on his face as he felt the change in him. I didn't think I would get such a surprise. He was feeling great, as that mysterious energy from the bow not only changed his life force, but also helped him open a new prana circuit. Now, he had opened a total of 5 prana circuits, which increased his strength and helped him fully recover from his previous battle. His physical strength and quantity of life energy increased by 50%, which is a tremendous boost for him considering his situation of being trapped in a cemetery with body-snatching ghosts. He did not fully understand how much his strength increased by the change in his ice life force with the appearance of silver energy. But he was sure that his strength had increased quite a lot, and if he were to face his evil fake twin again, he was sure that it would not be as difficult as before and could finish him in a few seconds. Not only that, it seemed now that he had made mysterious contact with the bow, which might have lost some of that mysterious energy, but he still felt it was a great weapon that increased his strength, especially his long-distance combat ability. This increase in his strength increased his confidence in surviving this damn cemetery. He did not wait anymore and walked deeper into the cemetery, where more dangers were waiting for him. As he was moving and going deeper into the cemetery, he once again felt the same energy he felt when Mark's body was taken. He instantly knew what it was, and he quickly moved in that direction, as it is better to kill those body snatchers before they get used to it. Otherwise, it will be difficult to kill them. He took out the bow and was going to use the thunderous method to destroy his enemies. Apollo poured his ice life force into it to let it converge most of his power, and when, from afar, he saw a person standing and emitting large, weird death energy, he did not hesitate to pull the string. When he pulled the string, the bow started to focus all his life force, and a silvery ice arrow started to appear that was emitting a terrifying chill, which was a bit unexpected. The arrow was entirely different from an ordinary one. He felt its power was terrifying, as just standing close was making him feel such great horror that he was sure that if it was aimed at him, he would absolutely die. He saw his target clearly, and without wasting more time, he fired the arrow. The arrow was fast. It seemed to appear near the awakened soul snatcher, who also immediately felt the dangerous aura from that arrow. But it was late, so he hastily tried to defend himself and take the arrow head on, and he immediately burst out a powerful aura that instantly turned into a black cloak that could protect him. The arrow also came with fast speed, and he expected his cloak to protect him, but what happened surprised him. The arrow disappeared the moment it made contact with the energy cloak, which surprised him, but he immediately felt he was saved. Suddenly, a look of horror appeared on his face as he wanted to say something, but from inside his body, a soul-freezing cold energy erupted that quickly took over his body, leaving him frozen and standing. Apollo quickly came closer to the frozen body and was surprised to see the power of the treasure bow he just found. Its power was still extremely strong, and it seems his attack did not just contain physical coldness. It also seemed to affect other conceptual forces. Let's call it a soul-freezing bow. His eyes were glowing with excitement, and with a soul-freeing bow, he was more sure to leave the cemetery. He swiftly then moved around the cemetery, hunting those body snatchers and trying to find more treasures. In just half an hour, he hunted 9 body snatchers, while most of them were done by his surprise attack from his soul-freezing bow. But there was one who was not careless and had initially adjusted to his new body, which might have caused some problems before. But after his improvement, he quickly dealt with him. As time has passed, the rest of the remaining dozen body snatchers should have initial control over their bodies. They might not reach their original level because of the strength and talent of the body they take on, but still, from now on, he's going to face real danger. They all might even form groups, which is very bad for him. So his now major task is to find a way to leave this cemetery without creating as much noise as possible. His aura quickly started to calm down and started to diminish to extraordinary levels, and in a second, it changed from a powerful cold master to an ordinary level, where he was practically invisible if not felt clearly. Apollo controlled his life energy to suppress them to the lowest level so that those other body snatchers would not be able to quickly feel his life energy. He was now going to the center of the cemetery, as he had a weird feeling that place had something, and he must get it. He could not express the feeling, but his mind was telling him to follow it, and it was not like he had better options available here, where the only thing he could see was just old tombs. So he was going to take his chance, and might be able to leave this place with a load of treasures. He did not wait longer and moved towards the center of the tomb, where his weird feeling was leading him. As he walked, surprisingly, he did not meet with any other body snatch soldiers. But he was not glad about this, as he had bad feelings about this situation. When he reached closer to the center of the cemetery, his feeling came true, as not only were all of them gathered together, but they were also at the same place he wanted to go. He saw, from afar, more than a dozen soldiers gathered around the biggest tomb he had seen in his life, with the question of whose tomb it could be. Not only that, but he noticed a strange creature or person wrapped in a dark shadow with only visible, scary red eyes standing ahead of them, commanding them. Suddenly, that weird person felt something and looked in Apollo's direction, shocking him. But his reaction was fast. He quickly hid behind the tomb while hiding his aura. It looked in that direction for a second, and seeing no one, it again focused on the large tomb ahead. I almost got caught. He was hiding behind a tomb. He sighed with a sense of relief for a moment. But after that thought, his expression changed. He is now in the biggest trouble in his life, as not only are all of them gathered in the same place, but he has also found something more terrifying. From that weird person covered in shadow, he felt an unimaginable terror that shook his heart. He was sure that thing was very strong, even stronger than his grandfather, and the only person who could defeat it here should be swordmaster Aaron. He cannot defeat it. The difference is too great. Even now, after becoming a little stronger, it will not change the outcome when the difference is so large that, at such a stage, tricks and deception become meaningless. Damn, he cursed internally as to why the fuck this thing needed to be here. Could it be some other place in the tomb? When he was cursing, the shadow came near the large tomb, which was bigger than 20 feet, but it seemed brand new without a speck of dust or dirt on it. It doesn't seem like this tomb has been here for thousands of years. Get ready. The time has come. The person covered in a dark shadow said this to all the soldiers standing behind him. After thousands of years, the Lord Shadow Shaper plan has come to fruition. A soldier closest to him said, as quickly as everyone bowed on their knees and congratulated the Shadow Shaper. The person covered in shadow started to mumble some weird words in a different language that he had never heard. And then the aura around all the soldiers changed as they became more eerie, darker, and deadly, to the point that the earth or the little bit of grass and plants around them started to wither. A Bosreek Jobi is Kafin Kuander he Jaldi Esi Jag J Ivarna Terrigan Far Dunga. They all started to chant something like some weird spell that made the tomb ahead shake, and it started to release a crimson blood mist that made everyone's mind tremble with fear. But nobody stopped chanting because of this, but continued. And slowly, the horrifying crimson blood mist full of bloody killing intent started to expand and cover the whole space. Apollo wanted to leave, but the mist was fast, and he did not want to be alert, so he was also caught in it. What the hell is this? Apollo held his breath as this place seemed to be swallowed by the blood mist, and he didn't know what to do. Although the visibility decreased and it was harder to see, for them, it was still manageable. Suddenly, the giant tomb at that moment started to shake, and slowly, a bloody hand seemed to come out of it. As the hand emerged, an unimaginable, strong aura seemed to have broken out from its cage and started ravaging as the world seemed to be trembling. Everyone present there felt enormous pressure that forced them to be so low that they could not even look up. Apollo was also not feeling better either. He was also on his knees, feeling the horror, trying hard to look up at the figure that came out of the mysterious tomb. The moment that figure was released outside the ruins, the world also seemed to have changed. An unprecedented phenomenon appeared in the sky. As the crimson clouds appeared in the sky, the sun disappeared and darkness enveloped the whole world. It seems to signal the beginning of a new era where things are going to change. The world covered in darkness seems to allude to the fact that the world is going to change as death and blood flow through the earth, as war and slaughter going to happen, as the past and current mysteries clash. Powerful beings from all over the world felt the terror of this phenomenon, and one after another mysterious beings awakened from their deep sleep and looked at the sky, feeling the change in the world. Within the depths of a secret place in all the 10 great empires, old monsters awakened as they all looked at the sky with interest and confusion, trying to find what caused the sudden change that the world itself was giving warning. Did some ancient god from the divine era awaken, or did something happen in the abyss? Immediately, the empire sent people all over the world looking for the anomaly, which could give them some answers. In the ruins, Master Aaron and Grandpa William also felt the sudden burst of tremendous energy that shook them to the core. The soldiers and the guard around them were also not feeling any good, as the energy was too much for them, and none of them was able to stand or even move. Among them, only the swordmaster Aaron was still standing, but his face was not looking good, as even as one of the 10 master swordsmen, he was sweating heavily at this moment, and it seemed it was taking everything for him just to remain standing in the current situation. What is this energy? What the hell is happening? Rosie had asked with difficulty, as although she was on her knees, the pendant on her neck was glowing, reducing the intense pressure on her. I don't know. Master Aaron replied as the situation now seemed to get out of hand, and it was something that even he could not understand. Beside them, Grandpa William wasn't thinking about anything. He only thought about his grandson, whether he was alive or not. If it were someone else, he might believe that was the end, but he knows his grandson is not ordinary. He is different, a genius that cannot be defined by common sense. So he believes such a heaven-defying child would not die easily, and he is still alive somewhere. At the center of the 10,000 tombs, Apollo was feeling horrible, as he was using everything and every ounce of strength and will to face the devastating aura. But his situation was getting worse with every fraction of a second. The situation of all the body snatchers was also the same, as they were too close to the legendary being, whose presence alone seemed to be a death sentence to them. Only the Lord Shadow Shaper, somehow, seemed to be holding himself and was eagerly looking ahead. Slowly, the legendary being that changed the world and let the sky tremble came out of the tomb. Boom! The whole place seemed to shock with the intense, otherworldly aura. The space around him seems to be shaking. Small cracks have started in the air around him. What no? The pressure emitted by the legendary being reached such an unmatched level that the soldiers standing near him felt unimaginable horror, and one after another, not being able to tolerate the force, started to get crushed to death. Boom, 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 boom. Apollo, on the other side, who was hiding, also felt the unprecedented horror. He instantly activated his transformation and turned into Ice Lord. Feeling he could not hold on, he did not try to hide himself anymore. But even after the transformation, the situation didn't change. He just delayed it for a few seconds. No, damn it, I'm not going to die. I'm going to survive. Apollo roared, and with all his might, he started to struggle for his life. The situation continued to worsen as, in a few seconds, most of the people here exploded as they could not handle the immense aura, leaving only Lord Shadow and Apollo. But Apollo was also at his end, as he started to lose consciousness, and death seemed to get closer and closer to him with every second. Lord Shadow Shaper already felt Apollo's presence when he transformed, but he did not care as he was standing in the presence of a legendary being. As for the mysterious being that awakened, he seemed to not care about anyone as they died. Maybe for him, all of them were insignificant ants who could not stand in front of him. Apollo seemed to be unable to take it anymore as he felt this was the end while feeling sad that even after getting the second chance, he had not achieved anything. But as he just lost consciousness with despair, a mysterious force appeared from within the depths of his mind, as if some mysterious gate had opened that was hiding unimaginable power. Boom! The mysterious energy broke free within Apollo's body, and instantly, the pressure of the powerful aura of the legendary being that was going to crush him to death disappeared around him. The godly being, who seems to be covered in an otherworldly aura, felt something. This unusual situation of Apollo was noticed by him, as he seemed to feel something. Interesting. The words seemed to have some magical power, as at that moment, time seemed to have stopped, and he instantly appeared in front of Apollo's unconscious body. He looked at Apollo, who had caught his interest carefully, trying to figure out everything about him. His eyes glowed with a purple light that seemed to penetrate space and time as he glanced at Apollo, who was slowly being healed by the mysterious energy. But as he looked within his deep mind, a very powerful force came out of it, knocking him out of Apollo's mind space immediately. What? He didn't expect that something like this could happen. The legendary being felt insulted, as some puny ant not only withstand his power, but forced him out. How dare an ant? His roar caused the world to tremble, and space around him shattered into countless pieces, and the time that seemed to have stopped started to flow again. The Shadow Lord, who was frozen before on the other side, saw the shocking sight, but his situation has now become bad as he seems to have gotten caught in the space storm. He quickly used all his strength and tried to leave, but only a painful roar could be heard. No, but the legendary didn't care, even though it was the person who seemed to be a fanatical believer of him who awakened him. Instead, he was looking at Apollo, and other things didn't seem to matter to him. As all things were happening, Apollo seemed to have regained some of his consciousness and was able to see someone standing in the air ahead of him. He could not seem to see the face of the person for some reason, but he felt awe for this person from the depths of his heart like they did not belong to the same life level. His mind is still clouded, and he seems not to understand anything. Even his body seems to be out of his control. But even when he does not have a clear mind, he can feel that the mysterious being ahead seems to be angry and that the world seems to be trembling just because of this, which makes him believe that he was hallucinating. From what Apollo could remember, he was dying and he lost consciousness, but since he awoke, it means he somehow survived. Only divinity can push me. Which god are you? Come out. The person ahead of him seems to be saying something in a weird language, but he somehow can understand them even when he doesn't know a single word he said, yet every word seems to have intent mixed with it, so that even without knowing anything, he would still understand them. After understanding, he was shocked and immediately remembered that the person ahead seemed to be the legendary being who had almost cost him his life. But after understanding the question, he felt confused. Divinity? What divinity? And what god? It was the first time he heard that and what it had to do with him. Apollo could not understand why the godly being was asking such a question. He wanted to say this, but his body was not in his control, as he seemed to only watch as he seemed to be in the weird, infinitely large mind space where he could only see outside but could not do anything. He had come to this type of similar space accidentally when he was a baby, and it's the second time he's come here. The godly being in front of him seemed annoyed at not getting answers, so he moved his hand to touch Apollo's head, and instantly he disappeared. Apollo was surprised when a legendary person disappeared, but the next thing he saw shocked him, as the powerful, godly person suddenly appeared in his mind space and was standing beside him. What the FK? How the hell did he appear here, inside his mind? He was horrified by the strength and means shown by the ancient godly person, who could literally do anything, and he could not guess how strong this guy was. Come out. Whatever you are hiding, come out. The godly person shouted, looking at the infinite space as if he were talking with someone not caring about Apollo, who was also there. Apollo could not understand what this person was trying to say by shouting like there was something here, but his questions were quickly answered as the mysterious person took action. Immediately, a black spear appeared in the person's hand that seemed to howl as millions of painful souls were screaming in agony. What kind of weapon is this? Seeing this, Apollo was horrified. The weapon seemed to have caused a chain reaction, and the space around him started trembling as it seemed to feel unprecedented terror from it. But the surprise was yet to come, as feeling the danger in the space around seems to have finally taken some action. Boom! Above the air, a bright light appeared that seemed to calm down the space and suppress the powerful intruder's power. Above them, a mysterious gate appeared that seemed to shock the mysterious god as he felt its power. Apollo, on the other hand, was not surprised because of its power, but rather because it was the same mysterious gate he saw as a baby and tried to open it, but his strength was not enough. He later tried numerous times to manifest it, but it never appeared. But now, after a decade, this mysterious gate has again shown itself. Come out. The inexplicable godly guy roared and thrust his spear above the mysterious gate that was emitting a strong heavenly aura. The black, deadly spear roared with the power of death and slaughter and wanted to destroy everything in its path. This attack collided with the mysterious, which was also releasing a powerful aura. Both of their strengths seem equal, but seem to have opposite properties, trying to swallow one another to dominate the space. Don't underestimate me. The intruder roared, and the spear started to vibrate and attack with stronger attacks. SZZZ. SZZZ. Both their attacks maintained the balance for a few seconds, but it broke as the intruder continued to bombard them with powerful blows. Boom! 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 Slowly, the mysterious gate started shaking and seemed to be pushed back, which made Apollo anxious. Although he did not understand both figures within his mind space, the mysterious gate was something he was supporting. This intruder is a deadly being who sees everyone as an ant and doesn't care about anyone's life. It will not be good if this person gets the upper hand. But just as Apollo thought the gate was going to be pushed back, it burst out with supreme power that instantly changed the momentum and shocked the godly intruder with a deadly spear. These women are earning more than gold medals. They're making bank her beauty. It started to glow with an eye-blinding light. Clang! And with a small sound like that, the mysterious gate slowly started to open. Finally coming out, the mysterious intruder said as he was waiting to see who was behind. But this excitement didn't last long, as the aura that burst out from within after it opened was entirely different from the previous holy, sacred aura. It was different and filled with a desolate aura of nothingness, like an infinite void without end. The aura was so strong that it instantly swallowed the godly intruder's aura while changing the aura of the space. Apollo and the mysterious intruder seemed to be standing in a dark void of nothingness, and the mysterious gate above them had changed into an infinitely big black hole. They both appeared to be as tiny as dust in front of the infinitely large black hole. Looking at the scene in front of him, Apollo could not believe what kind of fucking illusion this was. On the other side was the powerful intruder who didn't seem to be afraid of heaven and earth, but right now, his body was trembling. Although Apollo could not see the face of the proud intruder who was being cocky a few moments ago, he was sure that his face had become pale with fright. How can something like this be possible? Who could be this strong? The intruder who made the world tremble now was utterly afraid, as even he could not believe what he was seeing. The horrified feeling didn't stop as the vast pressure appeared on his face, trying to swallow him. Boom! He roared, trying to hold his ground and not be swallowed by the black hole. He burst with a powerful, dark, deathly aura to hold himself, but the pull was too strong as slowly he was pulled by the black hole. Apollo was utterly shocked seeing all of this and felt surprised seeing that the black hole's force didn't seem to affect him, as he was standing with ease without feeling any push or pull like he was in another dimension where any force would not reach. He felt safe and quickly looked ahead towards the intruder, whose presence almost killed him, but now such a powerful being was in an embarrassing state. The godly being was very anxious at this moment. He was not showing any proud, domineering aura. Rather, the feeling he gave now was that of a weak, powerless person who was in deep trouble. He was helpless in front of the infinite black hole, as no matter how he urged his strength, it was just a drop in the ocean, and the black hole easily swallowed it. Your lucky spin is waiting. Cash prizes up to 5,050 inside. New to Bybit? Spin win up to 5,050, try Bybit, and win crypto worth up to 5,050. Damn it, he was at his wit's end, as everything was insignificant in front of this black hole. I will not lose easily. This era belongs to me. Something like this shouldn't exist in this world. I will survive, burn. He roared and burst into powerful, undying black flames that changed his aura, and it seemed effective as he stopped at his place and was now somehow able to hold his own in front of the powerful swallowing force of the black hole. His aura increased many times as he became bigger and bigger, like a giant, and the black flame continued to burn all over his body. He seemed to have made up his mind as he started to move backwards with all his mind, trying everything to get away from the black hole and leave this place. Every step he takes seems to shake the void with his enormous power, which is unimaginable. Even Apollo can feel the strength in his every step. For a few seconds, it seemed that the intruder had saved his life, and he was slowly gaining some momentum. But this was not something this space wanted, as for the first time, there was movement from within the black hole. This movement was also noticed by the intruder, who became alert, as this might increase the difficulty of leaving. Suddenly, from within the black hole, an unimaginably large golden chain came out with frightening speed, surpassing the speed of light, and bombarded the intruder who was trying to leave. What? This caught him by surprise, as it was so fast that, after making contact, the chain seemed to merge with his body and soul. And instantly, a powerful pull from inside the black hole pulled the gigantic body of the intruder. No. This time, he seemed to lose every bit of his pride, as he was like a fish on a hook that was being pulled onto his death. He roared a few more times, but did not do anything, as slowly the chain pulled him inside the infinite black hole, swallowing him and ending his struggle. Apollo was standing and watching all of this and could not help but feel shocked as everything that happened right now was world-shattering. Yet it happened within his mind, inside a 12-year-old kid's brain. Who would believe such a thing? Even if he goes out and shouts in front of people, they will not believe him and think he has gone crazy because of the shock of the powerful aura. But just as he was feeling shocked and relieved, at the same time because the mysterious being seemed to have gone, a powerful force descended on him and forced him to wake up. The next moment he came out of his senses, he appeared in the tomb sitting, whereas everything around him seemed to be messed up badly. I came back. Apollo understood that he was back and was able to control his body. He carefully checked his body, which seemed to have healed perfectly. There was no pain or discomfort. Everything seemed to have returned to normal without a problem. Even he felt his body had become more sturdier and stronger. But just as he was feeling good, a mysterious voice came into his mind. Energy transformation is complete. Starting the installation process, boom! And from within his body, like a flood, large amounts of energy gushed out and started ravaging throughout his body. Apollo felt a large amount of pain as the energy was too much. He quickly gathered his thoughts and forgot the weird sound to start meditating and controlling the wild energy within himself. He sat down quickly and started to let the wild energy flow through his prana circuits, making them sturdier and bigger to hold more life force in them. This process continued for a minute, but the energy was so massive that only his 5 prana circuits couldn't handle them. So he took the riskier move and started to open more prana circuits hidden in his body. Usually, it is difficult to find them, but because of the flood of energy, he was quickly able to locate them. And without wasting any time, he directed the energy and let the wild energy forcefully open his prana circuits. The massive wild energy, like a tsunami, under his control, collided with the barrier that stopped him from opening his prana circuit, but the energy was too much after a single collision crack appeared within it. And Apollo, feeling this, didn't stop and continued his attack, and with a bomb, a new prana circuit was opened. Boom! Apollo's aura started to become stronger as his 6th prana circuit was opened, which increased his strength. But the massive still didn't show any sign of decrease. So he continued the same process of grinding all the energy in his prana circuit to make it stronger and larger and then open the new prana circuits. If he didn't do it, he might die due to this massive energy. So even when he was in unimaginable pain when he forcefully opened his prana circuits, he continued to do it while grinding his teeth. His body was in great pain as blood was coming out of his nose, eyes, and mouth, but he didn't let it break his concentration, and in a few minutes, with his determination and strong will, he opened 3 more prana circuits, making a total of 9 prana circuits. Apollo had now opened a total of 9 prana circuits, making him the 2nd strongest in the Fletcher family, except for his grandfather. When it came to the number of prana circuits, he surpassed his father and uncles in just a few minutes. But right now, he didn't care about this, as although the energy had decreased exponentially from the initial stages, there was still a lot left inside his body, and if it wasn't taken carefully, it could be dangerous. As he was concentrating his mind on controlling all of this, he felt a weird sensation in the back of his brain. He felt the sensation was similar to the feeling when he felt the prana circuits, but at the same time, it was different. From what he knows, usually, the person can only open 9 prana circuits, and to continue to become strong, they need to follow a different path. He has never heard of the 10th prana circuit, but he had a weird feeling that it was very important as some mysterious voice was murmuring in his mind. He felt a strong impulse and could not control himself, as suddenly, all the remaining energy started to pour into the points in the back of his head. He felt great pain in his head, like something was poking needles in his brain. The pain was so great that he could not hold it in himself and roared like a beast, but he still didn't break his concentration. His body was bleeding from every part of it. His skin and clothes had become red as they were covered in his blood. Boom! At that instant, the 10th prana circuit was opened, and something entirely new change took place within Apollo's mind and body as mysterious energy came from within his mind and started healing his body with such speed that, within a few seconds, all the wounds on his body were completely healed. And every cell in his body started to change. They started to become stronger and devour life energy like they were evolving into a better and higher version of themselves. While his aura became mysterious, it was completely different from his previous breakthroughs, as now, he was giving more mysterious and heavenly vibes. Conditions have fully met. Activation successful. Void creation system fully activated and ready to use. Continuous voices were ringing in Apollo's head, but he was still meditating and feeling the changes that had happened inside his body in just a few minutes. Apollo's body was now filled with power, and he felt a single punch from him would be enough to defeat his previous self. Not only has his body become stronger and faster, but it seems his control over his life force has increased. He now feels close to nature and can control life forces like fingers in his hand. His senses became sharper, and his eyes seemed to be able to see a deeper flow of energy in the world. Right now, he cannot correctly gauge his battle powers, as it is not just a simple increase in life energy and body strength, but rather an entire evolution. He was now completely different, whether it was his understanding of life force or physical limit. He seemed to have broken some kind of limiter, and now he seemed to have become a higher being. But after those feelings, he remembered the weird noise he heard in his mind. System. As a modern person, He did read his fair share of novels, comics, hentai, and manga. He can be called an expert, especially during the 2 months of his illness. They were the solace for him. Now that he remembered the words, it seemed to be some system activation, or it was some sort of hallucination. But as he thought about this, suddenly again, he heard a weird sound in his mind. Scanning complete host profile is being projected, and a weird, transparent floating screen appeared in front of him, with various information on it. Void Creation System host, Apollo Fletcher, normal form, status, healthy physique, 52, normal adult human 1, spirit, 17, normal adult human 1, prana, life energy, 220 units, normal human 1, skills, ice cut, lowest grade, boost, lowest grade, ice nova, middle grade, creation energy, 0 points. Seeing all of this, he was shocked. Like first he was reborn in this mysterious world, and now a system. Is he really a protagonist or something? Then who the motherfucker is the author? All those unbelievable things that authors made up were becoming true one after another. And now he even awakened some systems. Did the authors have some power or divine revelation? Otherwise, how the hell were the things that they made up in the novel happening to him? He chuckled after thinking about all of these crazy things and looked carefully at the system profile floating in front of his eyes. The profile was like a holographic projection and was floating in front of him. And like some game character profiles, it also seemed to be showing various data about him. After some glances, he understood most of the function and use of the system. First are simple parameters for judging his body strength, like the physique column, which seems to be the cumulative of strength, speed, endurance, and other factors. This representation is more realistic than having different categories like strength or speed. In the real world, how is it possible to have the strength of an ordinary person but speed 10 times that of a normal person? Without sufficient strength, muscles, and a strong physique, it is impossible to achieve such feats. So it's good that it is represented in a single unit. And surprisingly, according to the system, he seems to be quite strong, stronger than he thought. He is 52 times stronger than most humans, 52 times. Not to mention, he is still a 12-year-old kid. His body is still in a growing stage. And with age, even if he did not try to improve, his body would continue to become stronger and stronger with time. As for other stats, his spirit, which symbolizes his mind and soul, is extremely high, possibly due to his reincarnation and strong will. Perhaps the transformation brought about by awakening the 10th prana circuit also boosted his spirit. And lastly, the prana stat, the most important stat, has the largest improvement he felt after opening the 10th prana circuit. He felt that after opening the 10th circuit, his life force seemed to have directly doubled. According to his observations, if life energy is defined in points like the system, each time he opens a prana circuit, he gains roughly 10 or 11 points of life energy, but opening the 10th circuit appears to have broken his body's limit and directly doubled his energy reserves. Now, he had 220 points of life energy, and in just a few minutes, he increased his life energy reserves 4 times. It is unbelievable now that he understands how those damn protagonists became so strong quickly while others needed decades to do that. There are also skill columns, which just show the skill he learned. Now, the main function of the system and the real cheat will help him grow stronger faster than anyone else. Creation energy points. He got a good look at this icon, and when he tried to think about it, a few lines of text appeared on the screen. Creation energy, the supreme power above all energy in any form in the universe. Creation energy has the power to create or evolve anything, whether a world or a living being. With creation energy, everything is possible. This simple definition lets him understand what creation energy is and how it is going to let me become strong, but the system seems to have forgotten to leave any information about how he can collect creation energy. Damn fucking systems, they never really give full answers. Apollo noticed something on his system profile that he almost didn't notice. Behind his name, it showed the normal form in brackets, confusing him. Normal form? Is it referring to his Ice Lord transformation or something else? He quickly wanted to check that out, but suddenly, he felt movement from nearby debris. Apollo felt there was some movement from beneath the debris. He immediately became alert, as he didn't know what it would be this time. SZZZ. Boom. All the debris was sent flying, and from beneath it, a person appeared in a banged-up state. He had wounds all over his body and was covered in blood. He seems to be taking deep breaths with difficulty. Frankly, Apollo was surprised that in such bad condition, he was still able to stand straight. His face was also a little weird. There seemed to be 2 small horns growing on his forehead, which made him doubt whether this person was human or not. But he should be quite strong, as even in such a bad state, he still felt this person's strength. More importantly, he doesn't remember seeing someone like him before among those hijacked group. When Apollo was looking at the weird guy, Lord Shadow Shaper was also looking at him with a confused face because he could not understand how he was still alive after the great god himself looked at him. He knows almost everything that happened here because he is the mysterious Lord Shadow Shaper, who awakened the legendary god but was caught in the space storm due to an accident. Space storms are calamities that mean certain death for warriors. But somehow he survived this certain death situation by paying some price. Because he was in bad condition, he could not maintain his previous cool, eerie, powerful look as a Shadow Shaper. Right at the moment, he was in an extremely vulnerable state. Although he wanted to kill the kid in front of him, his condition didn't allow it. Damn it, where the god disappeared. The plan seemed to have failed. He was murmuring, looking at Apollo with killing intent. while Apollo was still trying to figure out who he was, but he wouldn't expect the person ahead to be the mysterious shadow shaper who created the whole mess. Right at the moment, his life force was entirely different, like he was another person because of Apollo, whose sharp senses could not recognize him. But he was still alert of this person. As he looked, he suddenly felt malicious intent from this guy, wondering what to do with this person. He had a feeling that if he didn't take care of him now, he would save himself from many troubles. But just this thought came into his mind. It took deep root, and immediately he made up his mind to do it, as right now he had the best chance. This person is seriously injured, and his strength has increased exponentially. Wait a minute, did I become indifferent towards life? Feeling his thoughts of killing, just as he feels troublesome, seems a bit aggressive. He is not a psychopath, but after the change, he seems to feel his mindset has slightly changed. He became more cold, and his emotions seem to become dim. Although it is not much, it is still a change. Perhaps he should comprehend how much this person witnessed and knows about what happened here, as well as the individual's identity. After that, he should decide what to do with this guy. Their gazes met each other, and Apollo was the first to ask, "Who are you, and why are you here?" After saying this, his hands quickly moved down and came on the sword sheath, indicating his intention to answer his questions carefully. Lord Shadow Shaper's expression changed as he heard Apollo's question. He felt angry and couldn't believe that a kid would threaten him, the great Lord Shadow Shaper, a kid who can be trampled under his feet. But right now, he was in really bad shape, with less than 10% of his strength, and the brat ahead of him was not an ordinary kid. He didn't know how he survived until now, but being able to do this is already a big achievement. So, although he's still a brat, he might not be trash. Not only that, but his body is in very bad condition. If he tries to force himself to fight, his condition might get worse, and he might die. He was in a very embarrassing dilemma, being threatened by a kid. If others find out, he will become the laughingstock of the whole cult. How could a high-ranking leader, a great lord, lose his face like this? He might even lose his position because of this. He would rather kill this brat and torture his soul, even if his condition worsens because of this. Seeing that the person ahead didn't seem to answer his questions, Apollo understood that this person might be the problem. Both of them, at the moment, made their mind to kill each other, and they didn't hide it. Apollo felt he was in an advantageous situation, whereas Shadow Shaper felt that even if his condition might get worse, he still should be able to take care of a small, noble kid. Both of them were ready to make their move. Shadow Shaper was first as his hand glowed with a weird runic circle above him, surprising Apollo, who, seeing this, became serious and charged with unmatched speed, almost like teleporting, appearing on the other side of him. What? Shadow Shaper was shocked when he saw Apollo's instantaneous speed burst. He was caught by surprise speed, as even he thought this kid would be strong for his age, but this speed had surpassed the age group and reached the enlightened master level. It is an entirely different level from rookie level strength. He appears beside Lord Shadow Shaper Apollo with lightning-fast reflexes and slashes with his sword while aiming at the neck for a quick and clear kill. His attack was ruthless, not like a kid who didn't see the world. Lord Shadow's expression became grave, and the runic circle behind him glowed with an eerie aura. Instantly, from beneath the shadow, spikes appeared, trying to penetrate Apollo. But this time was different, although the speed of this attack was fast and unpredictable. Apollo's sixth sense has now developed an extremely high state, and early on, he felt the danger. He quickly moved and easily avoided the spikes from beneath. But after this attack, he didn't stop but attacked more vigorously, and used the low-level skill Ice Cut and Slash to cut the enemy ahead. Feeling the dangerous aura from Apollo, Shadow Lord quickly used all his strength to hastily create a shield between them, as Apollo didn't seem to give him any time to adjust. Apollo's sword was glowing with a white and silvery aura, while radiating a soul-freezing aura that seemed to be from another world. The aura also shocked Lord Shadow Shaper, as he also felt a very dangerous aura from it. His body already started freezing when it still hadn't made contact with it. The temperature around them dropped tremendously, making even his energy flow slower, which resulted in Apollo's attack easily penetrating his magic shield and cutting a deep wound on his right shoulder. Ah, damn you, kid. Shadow Shaper burst with strong and multiple shadow tentacles and attacked Apollo, forcing him to back off. TCH. Apollo quickly moved back, feeling a little annoyed by these shadows, as they were fast and unpredictable, making them difficult to defend against. But still, his attack worked, and he had done some additional damage to the enemy ahead. His soul-chilling life force also should have entered the Shadow Shaper's body, and now it is a matter of time before his defeat. On the other side, as Apollo expected, Lord Shadow's body was shaking because of the chilling energy that had entered his body. He is already injured badly, and now the cold life enters his body like a tiger with wings, damaging his internal organs. If this continued, I would not survive. I have to leave. In Lord Shadow Shaper's mind, thoughts of running away start to appear, as he can feel that if this battle continues, he might really die. The cold life force was menacing. He felt his organs were slowing and freezing, and even his mind seemed to be affected by the weird, chilling force. In such a situation, running is the only way left for him. As Lord Shadow was hesitating, Apollo on the other side noticed this moment of gap as his chance. Since his enemy was distracted, Apollo launched his strongest attack, intending to end this battle quickly. Ice Nova. Since his strength has increased, Not only has it become easier for him to use, but this skill power has also increased exponentially. Now not only can it freeze his body, but even the soul of his enemy will also be frozen. Boom! Instantly, the white mist with a deadly, soul-freezing chill appeared around him, and with breathtaking speed, it started to swallow everything within it. Lord Shadow Shaper, after his moment of distraction, noticed this feeling of graveness as the dangerous white mist came closer to him. But just as he moved, he felt heaviness as his legs seemed to have frozen in ice, delaying his movement. Damn! The runic magic circle glowed, and from the earth beneath him, a thin veil-like sheet of shadow came out, covering him the moment the mist covered him. SZZ. The mist traveled for hundreds of meters, freezing everything in its path. It's like the surroundings have changed to a frozen hell where no life can survive. SSSSS. Shatter. Slowly, the mist disappeared, and the ice started to shatter and dissipate in heaven and earth. Did I get him? Apollo, remaining alert, slowly walked towards the frozen Shadow Shaper, who was covered in a dark shadow sheet. He was not sure as his enemy was very strong, and usually it would be difficult for him to defeat such a powerful person. But the person now was seriously injured, and he was also affected by his ice-cold life force, so he thought he had some chance. As he came close, small, fine cracks started to appear in the veil of shadow. Crack, crack, boom. Slowly, the black sheet shattered and broke into hundreds of pieces. But the situation he hoped to see didn't happen because behind the veil there was nobody, as it was empty without the figure of Lord Shadow. Where did he go? Did he disappear just like that? Apollo was surprised to see how he disappeared in front of him without him being able to notice anything. His senses were very sharp. He didn't feel any energy fluctuation or anything suspicious, but still, the person vanished in front of him. Sorcery is unpredictable. He looked around a bit, but didn't find anything, so he quickly left the place without wasting more time to find a way to leave this place, as his grandpa should be getting anxious because of the accident. On the other side, the Master Aaron group and the Fletcher family, remaining soldiers with Baron William, came out of the ruins. That last burst of otherworldly aura terrified them, so they quickly ran and came out of the ruins. While most of them were glad they came out, Baron William was not feeling good at all. He is filled with regret for bringing his grandson to this perilous place. He should have known better than to expose him to such danger. Pain and doubt made his heart as heavy as a mountain, and a small tear fell from his eyes. Lady Roseate also saw this and understood the sadness and grief of the Baron. She wanted to say something, but after hearing a voice, she stopped. Grandpa. The voice of a young child came that brought back Baron William, who was in deep pain and almost lost himself in guilt. Apollo, he shouted and looked around, as he couldn't believe what he heard. Am I hallucinating? But when he saw a young kid walking out of the ruins, he couldn't help but feel excited, and all those negative feelings disappeared. Grandpa. He looked at his grandfather, who seemed to have become weaker as he had experienced some devastating blows. But seeing him, he seems to have regained new vigor. Aha, good, you are all right. Naturally. How can anything happen to me, Grandpa? Apollo smiled and said, seeing his vigorous grandfather. On the other side, Master Aaron and Lady Roseate were also surprised to see him. They didn't expect a 12-year-old kid to survive, even if he was a genius. But not only has he survived, he seems to have become stronger. He also seems to have changed. Roseate only felt that Apollo had become more mysterious, increasing her curiosity, but Master Aaron was different. He felt more when he saw him. He cannot believe that in a few hours, one person can change this much. Every step Apollo takes is filled with such a mysterious aura that even he, one of the strongest masters in the kingdom, cannot see the depth of his strength. That was completely different from before, where he could feel his hidden strength, but now it felt like he was not looking at human, but a glacier so cold that even he felt a chill from the depths of his soul. This feeling appeared for a moment, but disappeared as Apollo felt something and looked at Master Aaron with a cute, innocent smile. Their eyes met for a moment, thinking something, but they didn't say anything, which no one noticed. Quickly, people surrounded him. All the soldiers of the Fletcher family and Grandpa William started asking him questions about his health, or whether he was injured or had some psychological problems. They also asked if he saw other soldiers, who were also taken, but Apollo lied and said that he hadn't met anyone. At that time, Master Aaron interrupted them and urged them to leave this place first, as the devastating aura in the ruins horrified them, and there might still be dangers in the ruins that could come out at any time. Let's go and leave this place. After hearing and understanding the reason, nobody stayed and left the ruins. After hours of travel, they all returned, but all were not happy as dozens of soldiers of their Fletcher family didn't come back. Instead, Lady Roseate and their members are in a better mood, as they have found the bloodstone they were looking for, and only 3 or 4 elite guards of her didn't make it. But after seeing the expression of the Fletcher family, she immediately said, Baron William, don't have to worry. For the help given by Baron, Duke will definitely give sufficient rewards that would make up the loss. Thank you for your generosity. Baron William thanked her, but Baron didn't feel much, as no matter what, it was his soldiers who didn't come back, but at least those rewards could calm him a bit. After their return, most of them went back to their place to rest, except Apollo and Grandpa William, who took Apollo to the secret room of their Fletcher family. Now tell me where you were and what happened after you disappeared. Grandpa William wore a thoughtful expression as he inquired about what happened after he was swallowed by the shadow. He didn't ask much before, because he didn't want others to know about any secret about Apollo. So after coming back, they came to the secret room that was built by ancestors of the Fletcher family and is covered by magic runes that even Master Aaron wouldn't be able to snoop on. After that shadow swallowed us, I appeared in the tomb. He told his grandfather about most of his experience, except he didn't tell how the awakened god was swallowed by him and his awakened system. Instead, he says that when the god awakened, the world trembled, he lost his consciousness, and when he awakened, nobody was there. He also quickly took out the loot that he dug or took from the dead bodies in the tomb. Seeing so many armor and weapons of high quality, Grandpa's mood changed, feeling better that at least they didn't return empty-handed. He also collected some broken metal weapon fragments made from rare and expensive metals. These could be melted down to create new weapons or sold for a hefty price. Good. Every single one of these weapons is of superior quality. If they weren't corroded by the mysterious power, they would be considered semi-transcendent treasures. Feeling the quality of the weapons, he could not help but feel surprised. The ancient forces were so rich that even semi-transcendent weapons were used by every soldier. Whereas now, in a barren family of kingdoms, there might not be a single semi-transcendent weapon. Even in the Fletcher family, there are only 3 semi-transcendent weapons available, and even that took them years to collect. Semi-transcendent, what kind of weapon is that? Apollo asked, feeling a little confused as he had not heard or read about them in the old books of their family. Oh, yes. Normal books didn't mention transcendent weapons, as they are entirely at a different level, so it's normal you don't know about them. Baron William quickly said this as he understood his grandson's curiosity. I was going to tell you about them later. I even prepared one for you, but it looks like you found a better one. He said this as he looked at the extraordinary bow that Apollo had brought. But now it doesn't matter. You have grown too quickly. Your strength seems to have become stronger, and there seems not much left to teach, so let me tell you about various grades of treasure or weapons. There are 3 types of weapons, treasures, or artifacts. They are, namely, ordinary weapons or treasures, transcendent weapons or treasures, and lastly, divine weapons or treasures. Those 3 are also further divided into 3 grades: lower, middle, and superior. Ordinary levels of weapons are not rare and don't possess special abilities, but beyond them, transcendent treasures or weapons are entirely different, as every single one of them possesses extraordinary power that can change the power and status of the person or the force that owns it. As for the semi-transcendent grade, it is not a real grade. Rather, it is meant for special weapons that didn't reach the transcendent level but have some properties that make them much more powerful than superior weapons. But don't underestimate the strength of semi-transcendent grade weapons or artifacts. Some of them are not weaker than transcendent grade weapons, but because of certain shortcomings, they cannot be considered transcendent weapons. Grandpa William smiled as he said everything to Apollo, who listened to every word carefully, not missing anything. And after listening to his grandpa's words, he understood how rare those weapons and metal fragments are. Their price should be beyond his initial expectations. Then is the bow semi-transcendent or a real transcendent bow? Apollo asked his grandpa, as this bow is extraordinary and doesn't seem to have the power of a usual semi-transcendent weapon. He even felt it might not be an ordinary transcendent weapon. I don't know. Apollo felt surprised after hearing his grandpa's words. Feeling the confused expression on his grandson's face, he said, the powerful aura it gives is that of a transcendent weapon, but at the same time, it seems to give a weird, mysterious sensation that he never felt in any transcendent weapons he had seen. This bow is very mysterious and beyond my understanding, so use it with caution, as it might have a big history or secret hidden in it. When he said that he had a grave expression on his face, his words had a profound meaning, pointing out the hidden dangers of using this extraordinary, of unknown origin. Apollo also understood and would not use it in front of others, so that further troubles would come to his door. Okay, let's leave all the things here and go get some rest. Today was a tiring day. With that said, both of them went to their rooms for a rest, especially Apollo, for whom today was the most dangerous and exhilarating day at the same time, with many revelations that opened a new path for him. He jumped on his bed and fell asleep in a few moments, as he was physically and mentally exhausted. He slept for 14 hours straight before waking up the next day, energized, fully recovered, and with inexhaustible strength. After the required, he felt better than ever, as the transformation that happened the previous day made his strength and body a little unstable as he forcefully opened his 10th prana circuit. The transformation needs time to fully adapt, so he feels better after the required change, and this improvement might continue for a few days until his body fully adjusts to the new change. Good. He was doing some light workouts to achieve profound control of his strength, which increased drastically. But as he was practicing, a servant came with words that let him stop his training. Today is the day Lady Roseate and Master Aaron, with their guards, are supposed to leave Fletcher Castle, but it seems they both want to meet Apollo before they leave. Okay, I am coming. Apollo quickly dressed up a bit and came to the main hall of the Fletcher family, where his grandpa, father, mother, Lady Roseate, and Master Aaron were already waiting for him. He came and stood beside his parents, looking at Master Aaron and Lady Roseate, who had called him here. Master Aaron glanced and nodded at Baron Williams, then looked at Apollo and said, Apollo, I saw how you handle yourself in tough situations, and the talent you showed is remarkable. But if you want to become stronger and reach a higher level, you cannot do it here. I have never seen anyone more talented than you. So, I want to accept you as my first apprentice who will continue and can complete my 33 sword style." Hearing this, his eyes started glowing more brightly, as this opportunity came at the right time, and with his new strength, there was nothing left in the Fletcher family that could help him. And only resources and guidance from a stronger, richer place can meet his demands. So, becoming an apprentice of one of the 10 strongest swordmasters is already the best choice in the kingdom, as even the Royal Academy cannot give him the same treatment that he would receive after becoming a Master Aaron's apprentice. But he didn't immediately say yes. Look at his parents and grandfather, whose faces were filled with excitement and joy, and he immediately understood that they might be more eager than him. And he also didn't waste any time and immediately bent to his knees and said, "Please, Master Aaron, accept me as your apprentice." Huh. Okay, stand up. From now on, you are the first apprentice and inheritor of 30 sword style. Master Aaron quickly accepted him as his first disciple and looked at him with excitement. The more he looked at Apollo, the more he felt satisfied. He saw how good he was and had extraordinary luck surviving the ruins. He felt Apollo might be able to fulfill his wish that even he didn't achieve. "All right, I'm leaving, but in a week, after taking care of some things, I will come back. So be prepared to leave your family for months or a year, as I will take you to a special place for your training." "Yes, master," Apollo quickly replied, and he couldn't help but feel excited upon hearing his master's words. He was looking forward to the kind of training and various methods his strongest swordmaster would teach. After saying some good words to his parents and grandfather, Master Aaron and Lady Roseate left the mansion. "Son, it looks like you're already leaving this small place." His father, John, looked at him, feeling proud as he became an apprentice of one of the strongest and most respected masters. But his mother was not feeling that great, as just a day ago, her son encountered extreme dangers, and in a week, he would leave them for a year. Although she is a strong mother who supports her son, no matter what, in the end, she is a mother, and like any mother, she cannot let go of her feelings, knowing the dangers and hardships of her son. But even when she felt a little uncomfortable, she still supported her son. After all that talk, he returned to his training place and opened his system status profile to know the changes more accurately. Most importantly, he wanted to learn all about the system that he couldn't look into before and what it meant by normal form. Void Creation System Host, Apollo Fletcher, normal form, status, healthy physique, 58, normal adult human 1, spirit, 19, normal adult human 1, prana, life energy, 250 units, normal human 1, skills, ice cut, lowest grade, boost, lowest grade, ice nova, middle grade, creation energy, 0 points. As he looked at the new data, he saw changes in almost every parameter. Whether it was his body, spirit, or life energy, all have improved in a single day except for creation energy points. And the improvement was not meager. Apollo also feels that improvement might continue for a week or even more. At that time, he should have become twice as strong as now. He already had a feeling that he might already be stronger than his grandfather, so becoming twice as strong again in just a week is quite an improvement. But that's for it. Now he wanted to know why, behind his name, it was showing normal form. Did it mean the Ice Lord transformation he created or something else entirely? He didn't feel any changes in his body except for being stronger. So, does it mean for his Ice Lord transformation? But the Ice Lord's transformation is not a pure transformation. It is just his crude way of forcing his ice life force into his body and making the energy flow like blood in veins, increasing his strength while changing some of his appearance. Although the process seems easy in words, others cannot do this as their life force cannot easily merge and form this kind of bond. Instead, they might explode. But his body is different, and the fusion is much easier with the only side effect of some strong exertion on his body. But now the system is showing it especially, not as a skill, but instead as a special form, which is a bit weird. Did some changes take place in it after his breakthrough? Now, he's going to find that out. He came to the farthest training area, so it would not alarm others easily, even though he ran rampant here. Then let's try it. His aura started to change, and the calm, warm place suddenly also started to change as the temperature continued to drop. In a matter of seconds, a thin, glass-like layer of ice covered the green grass. As his aura increased, something within the depths of his body appeared to have awakened, and the 10th prana circuit within him burst out with mysterious power. Boom! At first, everything was okay, but when the mysterious power rioted within him, suddenly, a new, unknown, but more powerful energy burst from his body that appeared to be entirely different from his life force. He felt great pain as his body seemed to be torn apart. Blood started to flow from all over his body. He cannot stop the changes as his body continues to be torn apart and grow rapidly, with his original height changing every moment, 5 feet 6 inches, 7 inches 6 feet, 7 feet. It didn't stop until his height reached a massive 10 feet, like a giant with strong muscles and a body that seemed to be sturdier than steel. What in the f***ing hell? What just happened? Apollo quickly looked at himself, feeling shocked, as now he had completely changed so much that even his mother standing in front of him would not know him. He had become a naked giant, 10 feet tall, with silver hair and a hint of a weird black aura around him. Standing tall, his every muscle and every cell within his body were beaming with unimaginable power. Even his dick was standing straight, with a momentum of dragon. The black around him was so weird that it seemed to devour everything, and the plants or grass around him seemed to have withered. But no matter what, he felt a great surge of power within him. He cannot even guess how many times he is stronger now. He felt so overwhelmingly powerful that he could crush the previous himself before transformation in a single hit. Although getting stronger was good, not knowing what was happening was still making him concerned. So, without much thought, he quickly opened his system window to see what happened. Void Creation System Host, Apollo Fletcher, Half-Demon God Form, Status. Healthy Physique, 580, Normal Adult Human 1, Spirit, 95, Normal Adult Human 1, Prana, Semi-Divine Energy, 25 units, 100 Life Energy 1 Semi-Divine Energy, Innate Talent, Eternal Ice, Death Devourer Skills, Ice Cut, Lowest Grade, Boost, Lowest Grade, Ice Nova, Middle Grade, Creation Energy, 0 points. Shit. Looking at the system window, he was shocked as his profile changed entirely. He couldn't believe how the f***ing hell such a change happened. The difference was enormous. His physique had grown from 58 to 580, a 10-fold increase, allowing him to tear apart monsters with his raw power. Not only that, but his other stats also increased tremendously. Spirit changed from 1985, a 5-time increase. And for the Prana, Life Energy, it is the one that changed entirely. Now, he seemed to have become Semi-Divine Energy instead of Simple Life Energy. And it appears the number of Semi-Divine Energy points is small, only 25 points, which is 10 times less than the Life Energy before. But the Semi-Divine Energy is not simple, as it seemed to be many times stronger than Life Energy, as a single point of Semi-Divine Energy is equal to 100 points of Life Energy, a horrifying difference of hundreds of times. He had a feeling that when he would use his Semi-Divine Energy, it would show the most devastating power he had ever seen. Apollo wanted to use Semi-Divine Energy and could not help it. So he quickly moved ahead and found the biggest boulder he could find. The boulder stands 70 feet tall, weighs over 30,000 tons, and covers 5,800 square feet on the ground. It was so gigantic that even with all his strength, Apollo could not do much damage to it before. Let's try it. Boom, boom. He punched with his new gigantic body and all his strength, shaking this massive boulder with his raw strength. Massive cracks appeared on this gigantic structure, but his hands were all great without a single scratch. He was shocked at how strong and sturdy his body had become. His defense seems to be even many times better than that of the beasts. So much better that he could not be considered human at all. But then again, the system was displaying that his current state is that of a half-demon god, so he might really not be considered human right now. Then comes the main event, Semi-Divine Energy, and his new energy property, Eternal Ice. Apollo calmed down and closed his eyes to feel the Semi-Divine Energy within his prana circuits. But when he did it, he was shocked by what he felt within his body. His prana circuit within his body was now entirely different, as there seemed to be not 10, but only a single prana circuit. If he described his prana circuits as a lake, then this single prana circuit was like a sea filled with majestic energy. This feeling was like all the 9 prana circuits combined with the mysterious 10th prana circuit to create a unique prana circuit, which can be called the Deva circuit, as it holds Semi-Divine Energy. Apollo let go of all his weird thoughts, concentrated his mind on the single sea of vast energy, and let it flow through his body. His hand moved, and he put a finger on the boulder and whispered, Eternal Ice. And immediately, a large amount of Semi-Divine Energy disappeared from his body. Instantly, unimaginable chilling cold aura that seems to freeze the space released from the tip of his finger. SZZZZZZ. SZZZZZ. The ice energy, in a matter of seconds, seems to have covered the gigantic boulder, turning it into a massive snowball, or more accurately, a 7-story-long snowball. But that's not the end of it, as slowly, one after another, fine cracks started to appear on the massive snowball. Crack, 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 crunch, shattered. The 7-story large boulder, in a second, just after being frozen, shattered into thousands of pieces like glass. The whole scene shocked Apollo as a single touch from him destroyed this massive boulder, which he wouldn't have been able to shatter, even if he tried with all his strength just the day before. But now a single touch of his finger had done the trick, and it still happened when we tried to control and minimize the damage. He cannot fathom what level of devastating destruction he will unleash if he puts his all into it. All that's good, but he also felt the problem. The small amount of Semi-Divine Energy he had. This attack almost emptied 1/3 of the Semi-Divine Energy in a moment. After this test, the only ability he didn't try was the weird Death Devourer ability that he might get from the god that was swallowed in his mind. The dark and eerie aura he emitted was quite similar to it. It cannot be a coincidence that after swallowing a god, he suddenly developed abilities similar to theirs. But he felt disgusted with this ability, as he could already guess what it did. All the plants and grass around him that withered already gave him a hint of its power. The dark energy gave him a depressed, eerie feeling, exactly the opposite of the life energy. And from deep within his heart, he also felt that using it too much would have unseen consequences. And to try this, he needs a living thing. Maybe a beast or animal will do, but right now he is not going to try this, as he was going to try the most important trick, which was how to change back into his normal human form. This was the most important. Otherwise, he would be considered a monster, and he would not be able to move or travel in this state. He quickly calmed down, let go of his mind, and tried to sever the connection within the prana circuit to scatter them again, so that he could change back to human form. Come on, come on. Slowly, the single, sea-like prana circuit within his body started to change, and the enormous pressure in his body started to decrease. And in reverse order, all the tissues, bones, and muscles started to decrease rapidly. His height started to shrink, and his aura started to decrease quickly. And in a few moments, he turned back into a small, naked human kid. Good, finally back to normal. A smile appeared on his face as he felt uncomfortable in his 10-foot-tall, giant body. And why wouldn't he be? If suddenly you became a giant, anybody would feel weird. Apollo's strength also returned to its weaker original numbers. But even though it is weird to have a non-human transformation, he didn't feel bad as he got a powerful trump card that could change any dangerous situation. What he cares about is his life. So what if he had to turn into a half-demon or god? Only when he survives will everything be possible. He quickly accepted the fact that maybe because of the system or because it swallowed a god, he can now transform into a half-demon god with incredible power and abilities. He also feels that because he opened the unprecedented 10th prana circuit, his journey to become strong would not follow the usual route. But that's for later, as all he now had to do was slowly stabilize his newfound strength and abilities, and train all of them to their fullest so that he can use them in any environment or condition. Now, the last thing he needs to do is figure out how to collect creation points, as it is the most crucial resource and ability of the void creation system. Without it, it is just a display profile that shows his stats and condition. He had a feeling that after he collected creation energy points, the system would show its true abilities. According to the standard routine, most systems need to kill beasts or something to get experience or points. Maybe his system also has similar requirements. So for this, he needed to hunt animals or beasts. But beasts are not so easy to find in this world. It is not like they live nearby in groups waiting for them to be slaughtered. Instead, most beasts live in deep mountain forests or valleys far from any civilization. It would take days for him to travel that far and deep in the forest, and even then, it is not guaranteed that you'll find one unless he finds some expert guide who knows the area. So, all of this cannot be done in a few days, which leaves him with a degraded version of slaughtering animals. Thankfully, behind their Fletcher family estates, there is a small mountain forest where some wild animals live. Normally, they're all killed so that people around them can't get hurt by some wild animals. But they do something a little different to train the young seedlings of their family. They never slaughter all the dangerous animals in that small forest, and instead leave some animals for the children of the Fletcher family to hunt. And now, Apollo was going to find some young wolves to see whether he could collect some creation energy points. In a few minutes, with his fast, inhuman speed, he came backside the Fletcher family's estate, and without thinking much, he entered the mountain. After walking around for some time, he finally found his target, a black and white coyote. Its length was around 1.7 meters, making it a bit on the bigger side among the wolves. The coyote, the moment it saw Apollo, felt the danger from him, and without any thoughts of attacking, it tried to run. But how could an ordinary wolf run in front of him? Instantaneously, a sharp, pointed ice crystal appeared that, flying with lightning speed, pierced the coyote's neck cleanly, killing him in a matter of seconds. He waited for a moment, hoping to hear the sound of the system notification, but just as he thought killing was not the right way, a beeping noise came into his mind, which brought a bright smile to his face. Creation energy is detected. Would you like to absorb it? Yes or no? Yes. Without waiting for a moment, he replied, as he could not help but feel excited. And instantly, mysterious energy seems to have come out of the dead coyote's body and disappeared within his body. And finally, the empty creation points, 0 changed and became 1. Finally, but it was far from over, as once again, a beautiful voice came to his mind. Congratulations for activating the new support function of the void creation system. New support function? Apollo was thrilled to hear this notification, as not only did he now know how to get creation points, but he also activated a brand new function of his system. Quick, show me the new activated support system. He quickly looked at the status window, where at the corner of the screen, a new small icon appeared with the name Shop. Shop? What kind of shop? Is it like the shop for shopping or something else? He quickly looked at the new shop icon, and just as he did that, some new words appeared beneath this icon. Skill potions. This. Seeing this, Apollo's eyes glowed sharply, as he had already guessed what he could buy from the shop. Right now, only 2 sections seemed to have opened, skill and potions. So, he quickly opened the skill section, and immediately, a long list of numerous skills appeared on the screen. Shock jump, lowest grade 10 creation points, sword slash, lowest grade 10 creation points. He continued to scroll down and was shocked to see all of this, as, according to his guess, there were 1,000 or 10,000 skills here. This was such a shocking number that he couldn't believe his eyes, and they were not just the lowest level of skill, but there were numerous middle or even high-grade skills available here. There wasn't a single middle-grade skill in their family, and yet right now he was seeing hundreds or thousands of skills in middle grade and higher. There might not be this many skills available in the entire empire, but now, they are all at the tip of his finger. He looked at the cost of all the skills, which seemed like a ridiculous price. The cost of the lowest grade skill starts at only 10 creation points, and some better ones need 30 creation points. But he just earned 1 creation point after killing an ordinary coyote. So, by killing only 30 coyotes, he can get one of the lowest grade skills. This trade is ridiculously good. 30 animals are nothing to him, but skills that are entirely different, as every skill costs a fortune. Not to mention that there are not only the lowest grade skills which can be purchased here. A middle grade or higher level of skills cannot be bought with money alone, which is also the reason their Fletcher family didn't have middle grade or above skills. But now he can buy middle grade or even superior grade skills with enough creating points. The range price for middle grade skills seems to be between 300 and 1,000 creation energy points, which might seem like quite a lot, but actually is not. It is an unbelievably low price, almost like giving him something for free. Apollo didn't even need his family's help. He alone could collect this much creation energy in 1 or 2 weeks with ease. In a month, he would have 4 or 5 middle grade skills that other nobles could not collect in a century. It can be seen how resourceful this system is. He also quickly opened the potions section, as potions are also monopolized by the masters of pharmacist guilds and clans. In the Fletcher family, it seems only his mother had some knowledge about potions. Maybe she belongs to the potion master, but for some reason, she never told him much about it. Potion recovery potion, 1 creation point berserk potion, 5 creation points Arctic cleanse potion, 3 creation points. And just like before, the names of thousands of various potions appeared on screen. With a prize range from 1 creation point to hundreds, or even thousands of points like the life potion that is unheard of, it can increase the lifespan of the drinker to 200 years. It's important to note that the cost of most potions is also significantly lower outside, since they are one-time use items, unlike skills that protect clans for generations. He can get most of the common potions available in the pharmacy guilds with a single creation point. It looks like even if he didn't become an apprentice of Master Aaron, he would still be able to get some good potions to increase his strength. But becoming an apprentice of one of the strongest sword masters in the kingdom did not just give him more resources. It also gave him higher status and the opportunity to learn hidden secrets and the truth of the world. His visits to the ruins have already made it clear that this world is not simple. There are numerous hidden truths and secrets hidden in the thousands or 10,000 years of dark history. And only by joining powerful forces can he learn more about it. He let go of those things and looked at the many blank columns beside the shop icon on the system window, meaning that there would be more varieties of products available in the shop, like weapons or those ancient magic scrolls. This system shop still has a lot to offer, and he is looking forward to it. He didn't continue to hunt and left the place to return to Fletcher Estate. He was looking forward to traveling on his own and collecting enough creation points to buy good skills and potions. In the following days, he is going to hunt some animals to collect dozens of points to buy some life-saving potions for dangerous situations. And the rest of the week, he would light workout to adjust and perfectly control his newly developing body and spend some time with his parents, making sure he is in the best condition for the training that he is going to do with his master. He had a surplus lunch with his family as they talked and laughed, and then he returned to the library of the Fletcher family to read some old books that he hadn't read until now. Most of the things in such old books are garbage, but he had a hobby that remained even after he was reborn. That is reading. No matter what kind of books he has, he will read them, whether they are weird notes or some third-grade erotica. He will still read at least a few pages of them. And right, although many descriptions in the old books might be wrong, who knows, they could be helpful someday. So, Apollo remained in the library for hours and continued to read. From the next morning, he continued hunting to collect creation points and adjust to his continuous increase in strength until lunch. And after that, he read various anecdote books and meditated at night. Like that, a week passed, and this early morning, Master Aaron had already arrived to take Apollo outside for their training. Master Aaron was waiting for him outside the castle. He was standing while wearing simple clothes, not like a high-ranking noble. Apollo had packed everything and put it in the space ring he brought back from the ruins. Master Aaron also saw this, but he didn't care much. It might be rare for a baron to have such a treasure, but for him, it was nothing much. Previously, he even thought of giving one to Apollo, but now, seeing this, he stopped. Son, take care of yourself, and don't do anything risky. Apollo, I know you are talented and strong, but don't be proud. There are many geniuses in the kingdom, so be careful and work hard. His father and mother said some words of encouragement. Grandpa William also said a few things that he needs to be careful about. Goodbye and take care. With that, Apollo left the Fletcher castle and moved unexpectedly in the direction of the northern plains. This surprised him, as the northern side is not where the capital is. Even more, considering the northern side is the opposite of a vibrant and diverse capital. The Fletcher family is already considered to be at the border of the northern side of the Ryoweth kingdom, where people live in large quantities. But if they continue to move ahead, they will reach those wastelands where no plants or animals survive because of the inhumanely low temperature that can freeze most humans in minutes, as the whole place has remained covered in ice and snow for thousands of years. Master Aaron noticed the expression on Apollo's face, understood what this kid was thinking, and said a few words to clear his apprentice's doubts. I know what you're thinking, so let me answer your few questions. First, why are we traveling by foot instead of mounts? It is because mounts attract too much attention and make it difficult to blend in with the locals. And our bodies are not weaker than beasts, so it is easier to travel on their feet. And second, where are we going? The answer to this question, you guessed almost correctly. that we're going to the northern wasteland covered in ice, or frozen hell as many travelers call it. Frozen hell. This was entirely new for him, as books don't mention anything about it. It is not surprising you never heard about this, as only the veterans call that place by this name. As usual, weaklings wouldn't survive there, so the words don't get out. Which is why most people only know that the deep northern region is desolate and devoid of any life, but that's not the truth. Master Aaron smiled and said, "You will later see the truth." Apollo was surprised after knowing that the northern wasteland also had this kind of secret. Knowing this, he looks forward to seeing what kind of place that is and who lives there. He was not worried about the harsh cold conditions. That kind of environment is heaven for someone like him. He would be like a fish in water, which would boost his fighting prowess. They maintained a good speed with their strong physique and stamina, and took only 2 hours of rest every day. And after 6 days of travel, they finally entered the northern wasteland, or frozen hell. The closer they came to the wasteland, the more the temperature started to drop, and slowly, grass, plants, and trees completely disappeared when they finally arrived at their destination. It was a place that was entirely covered in ice from every direction, without a sign of any plants or life. Now, let's go to the city frosteld. Wait, there's a city here? In such conditions, Apollo couldn't believe his master's words. The temperature here was already minus 40 C without any signs of life, and yet his master suddenly said there was a city, not a village or a small town, but a city. He followed his master, and after crossing a frozen river, he saw a small, igloo-like structure made of ice crystals in the middle of nowhere. Master Aaron and Apollo walked a little ahead to that igloo. He was still a bit confused about why there was a single igloo in the middle of nothing. But he followed his master's footsteps, who, after arriving in front of the igloo, knocked on the door lightly. A second later, nobody opened the door, but a small, pigeon-sized hole appeared on the door with a voice asking, "Who and why are you here?" "My name is Aaron, and I'm coming here to meet a friend." "Oh, Aragon." After a moment of silence, the door opened. "Come, let's go." Apollo quickly followed the master, and as they went in, the door shut down. And behind the door, Apollo was shocked as he saw the person standing. As it was not a human being, they were now instead standing in front of a polar bear of King Polar Bear. A polar bear that can communicate and walk like humans. His mind was going crazy. Where'd they come from? A Disney movie. Apollo quickly regained his calm, as anything or everything is possible in this world. Why make a fuss? Behind the polar bear, there was a staircase that seemed to lead somewhere underground. "Let's go." Master Aaron was not surprised to see a polar bear. He quickly led him to the stairs. Apollo quietly followed his master, but he still did not forget to glance at the polar bear as he followed down the stairs. The stairs were long, as they seemed to be quite deep underground, but after a few minutes of walking down, they appeared to be at the end, but when he saw what was ahead, he was shocked. "Welcome to Frosteld." Apollo looked at the city ahead and couldn't help but marvel at the beauty of the Frosteld. A city made of ice, every house, road, and even plant seems to be made of ice. It looks heavenly, with a unique charm that he had never seen. The crowd here is also a little unusual, as not only humans were strolling around, but more than half were non-human alien beings. He saw many beastkins with a similar figure to humans, but with various animalistic characteristics. Here, he also saw some elves that looked like books described in his past life. They are all good-looking and tall, with white skin and pointed ears. Apollo also noticed an elf with such massive tits that he could let it crush him to death gladly. "Kid, where are you looking?" Master Aaron looked in the direction Apollo was looking and couldn't help but interrupt his fantasies. "Brat, what are you thinking?" And he smacked his head with a cane in his hand. He laughed, as during their journey, they had already become close. And Apollo already has some understanding of his master's personality. Master Aaron looks serious, but he's a very cool guy. Although, because of the limited time during their journey, he could not teach him much. From the look of it, he feels that he is not a rigid person who only likes to follow the same method. But he is more of a diverse kind of person who, even after becoming this strong, still wanted to try more and learn new things in his training. So also because of this, he did not know why we came here or what we were going to do. And who was the person he mentioned outside that he came here to meet? "Let's go and meet my friend." Master Aaron pulled Apollo, who was still submerged in his thoughts. They walked the crystal-clear ice roads that were showing their reflections on it, as the beautiful crystal lampposts almost on every corner of the roads were making the whole place shine brightly. Apollo looked around and saw numerous stores, shops, restaurants, and even many brothels that were filled with various kinds of beauties. The more he looked, the more he felt surprised by the bustling city of Frosteld. He could not have believed that in a wasteland covered with frost and ice, there would be such a place filled with people from all over the world. They walked for around 15 minutes before they stopped. Master Aaron stopped in front of an old, broken store that seemed a little different from other stores that were filled with customers, as it was empty and devoid of a single person. But he didn't feel disappointed, as some from Earth who read a SHD ton of novels and manga knew that because of their shitty, sundere personalities, strong masters live alone like that. He believed the master's friend was also that kind of person. An ordinary person cannot easily open a store in Frostheld City. "Aragon, you fool. What are you doing that still after a decade, there is no one willing to do business with you?" Master Aaron, without wasting time, entered the shop and remarked with some words of sarcasm, to which a grumbling voice replied from within the shop. "Look like after you became famous, you started to talk too much shit. Haha, I was just checking if you were alive or not seeing the same deserted shop of yours. You, in your cheeky mouth. From within the dark, empty shop, a short, 5-foot-tall old man with a white beard wearing heavy furry winter clothes and a big hammer bigger than his size came out. Apollo looked at the short old man with interest. Seeing the old man's height, he already had an idea of who this person was. A dwarf. The old man seems to have heard Apollo's words and roared angrily at him. Dwarf. You are a dwarf. Your father is a dwarf. Your entire family is dwarves. The sudden angry roar surprised him, as he wasn't expecting such a reaction from the old man. The roar was so loud that his eardrums almost exploded. Haha, old man, calm down. It's not my apprentice's fault. Who made you look like a dwarf? Shut up, and just tell me why you are here. The short old man grumbled as he quickly asked, feeling a bit irritated hearing Master Aaron's words. Naturally, for the only thing you're good at, a custom-made weapon for my apprentice. Now that you mentioned you took an apprentice. Yes, come here and say hello to the somewhat capable old blacksmith, Aragon. And for your information, he is not a dwarven, even though he looks like one. Master Aaron quickly introduced Apollo to the old man, who looked at him carefully, trying to figure out what was special about him. Old man Aragon came closer to Apollo, looked him from up to down, and touched his shoulder and bones, feeling surprised. Oh, interesting. Kid, you have such a strong body and bones at such a young age. You are something. Although the old man Aragon didn't show much emotion on his face internally, he was roaring. How the hell does this kid, who according to Bones seems 12 or 13, have such a strong, sturdy body? Was he the offspring of a dragon or bathed in the blood of demons since childhood? Otherwise, how is it possible to have such a perfect body? Old man Aragon couldn't believe what he was seeing and cursed internally, looking at the proud face of Aaron, who was looking at him with a proud, smiling, cocky face. See, this is my talented apprentice that you will never find. He controlled his anger, calmed down, looked at Apollo, and asked, what kind of sword do you want, kid? Same as your master, or something else? Think carefully. Choice of weapon is very important, kid. You can look around the shop and take a look at the swords here. Master Aaron, standing beside him, also nodded, indicating that he should think carefully before selecting it. Apollo quickly followed the old man, Aragon, who took him to the secret workshop behind his store, which was surprisingly colder than outside. The furnace, weirdly, instead of emitting heat, was giving chilling cold energy. He then looked around, as this place was filled with various kinds of weapons, not just swords. Every weapon was releasing a powerful aura, and even before touching a single weapon, he could be sure that every weapon here was of superior quality. A few weapons caught his attention and gave him a mysterious feeling. And they might be those transcendent weapons that his grandpa told him about before. He was surprised to see so many extraordinary weapons lying here without much care, which confirmed his thought that the old man was a powerful expert. At least dozens of transcendent weapons were lying around like they were nothing. Old man Aragon did not seem to care much about these weapons, which means they are not his best works. Apollo was feeling a little overwhelmed, as just a week before, his grandpa said how rare transcendent weapons are, but now dozens of such rare weapons were lying around like trash. Sigh, the difference here is too large. But after this, he quickly started to look and inspect every weapon, even if it was not a sword. It was such a rare occasion where he could see and touch many transcendent items. He looked at different armors covered in various energies, some shining brightly with gold light, while others were in red-hot flames. But these armors are not the ones that catch his most attention. Instead, what caught his eye was plain-looking silver armor. Although the armor looked simple and didn't emit a powerful aura, he felt interested in it, like he had some sort of connection with it. Old man Aragon noticed eyes of Apollo on the silver armor and felt surprised as between many good things, he noticed this one. He knew this armor was peculiar as it wasn't made by him, but he just fixed some runes and repaired most of the damage he could. But because this armor was made from ancient skills that have disappeared for thousands of years, even one of the best blacksmiths couldn't fully repair it and bring out its full potential. Apollo moved and came close to the silver armor, instinctively touching it. But the moment he touched the silver armor, something ancient and powerful hidden in that armor seemed to have awakened and resonated with the soul-freezing bow he found in the ruins. And like a soul-freezing bow, the silver armor also produced a mysterious but horrifying cold that almost made the whole room freeze. Even those transcendent weapons and extraordinary energies cannot seem to stop the ice energy. But just as the old man was going to make a move at that time, the furnace with chilling cold energy seemed to have provoked it, and immediately all the cold energy in the room seemed to be swallowed by it. Calm down. Calm down. It's not challenging your sovereignty. And instantly, the furnace that seemed to swallow all energy stopped. He instantly looked at Apollo, who was covered in ice and seemed to have frozen, but old man Aragon could feel a powerful life force from it. Apollo doesn't seem to be getting weaker. Instead, his life force is increasing rapidly. This brat's luck is good. Even though I didn't activate the armor, this brat touch did the trick. Damn, but why does this kid have to be this bastard Aaron's apprentice? He was mad at Aaron's luck, as he had found such a talented apprentice. And where, as he was already more than 100 years old, he didn't find anyone who could carry an ounce of his inheritance. Apollo didn't notice any of this, as he was concentrating on absorbing the large amount of ice-cold energy that the armor just transmitted to him. It was many times more the time he made contact with soul-freezing bow, as he had merely opened 4 prana circuits. But now he had already opened 10 prana circuits, but still he felt a little overwhelmed by the quantity and quality of ice energy. The ice energy continued to fill him, and under this condition, Apollo seemed to reach a peculiar trance where his mind and the ice energy seemed to have fused so that even when he had closed his eyes and shut down his most senses, he could still feel and see even better than he had ever, even with his open eyes. His energy continued to flow within his body, making him stronger and stronger, but after a few seconds, he seemed to come close to some sort of barrier, but no matter how he tried to break it, he was pushed back. His aura burst to extremes, and the temperature in the room decreased so exponentially that even the furnace could not stop the cold energy. And in the old man, Aragon made a move and lightly took a step that seemed heavier than a mountain. Boom! SZZZZ. The shop and a few more places closer to him jolted with shock. What the hell is this old man doing with my apprentice? Master Aaron felt confused as he felt the tremor. Inside the room, this single step stopped the ice energy from moving forward, and Apollo reached the critical step. Boom! Boom! Crack! He collided with the barrier again and again, but as he felt he was going to break through. The energy feedback from the silver armor had stopped, leaving him just one step behind and breaking him from his trance state. Apollo slowly opened his eyes, feeling a bit sad as he was this close to a breakthrough. Old man Aragon noticed the reluctance on his face and said, "Kid, it's not bad you stopped. You were going to break the first limit of your body and soul. It shouldn't be done hastily. Come on, kid. All of this you can ask your master. So, just tell me what kind of weapon you want." But instead of answering, he looked at the silver armor and then at old man Aragon. Old man immediately understood and said, Yeah, this silver armor is yours, as it seems to have a connection with it." Apollo quickly picked up the silver armor, giving the old man any chance, and put it on immediately. "Let's give you a name." Apollo thought and came up with a name since he found it in the city of frosteld. Then, from now on, it will be called Frostguard Armor. Frostguard Armor. Not a bad name. Old man Aragon said it lightly, as he felt it was an appropriate name for this armor. "Okay, kid, now you already got something good for me. Let's talk about your sword and what you want for it. Would you like it to be this sharp, like this golden cutter sword, or would you want it to be heavy and sturdy, like the earth splitter?" Old man Aragon started to show him various swords with different and unique strong points and abilities. Apollo carefully listened and pondered as the old man introduced him and told him about many different abilities and their advantages. After hearing many explanations, he got a general idea about all those swords, and he already thought of what kind of sword he wanted. "Sir, I want a long sword that can adjust its weight and size." He told the old man about his preference after thinking about his transformation into a half-demon god. After transformation, his size and power increased drastically. So if he had a sword that could change his weight and size, it would make him unstoppable. "Can it be done?" Apollo asked, as he didn't know if this was possible. "Oh, a sword that can change his weight and size. Interesting choice." Old man felt the choice was different for what he expected, and after hearing it, he felt a bit troubled. "Kid, a sword that can increase weight can be made with some runic adjustment, but giving it the ability to change its size is a bit difficult." "Brat, you know how to ask. But before that, do you know about the different ranks of weapons?" "Yes, they're ordinary, transcendent, and divine grade." Apollo quickly answered as his grandpa told him. "So kid, do you know what the most common ability of all divine weapons is?" He didn't understand why old man Aragon would ask him such a question, but after a moment of thought, he understood, feeling a bit surprised. "Yes, it's what you want your sword to possess. Every divine weapon can change its size according to its master. It can be the size of a normal sword, or it can turn into a 30-foot-long sword. Maybe because gods in old times used to be of different sizes, they could be as big as mountains or as small as humans. So, their weapons must needed this ability. It can be called the trademark ability of divine weapons." Apollo was also surprised after hearing that every divine can change size, as he understood because after transformation, his size also changes into a 10-foot-tall guy. Although he cannot become big like a mountain, he guesses real gods should be able to do it. But now, this is a problem. If he cannot change the size of his sword, then after transformation, he can battle only with his bare fists. Old man was also thinking about the problem of what to do. Although he's an expert blacksmith, he cannot make divine weapons. Finding a divine blacksmith who can refine divine rank weapons is more difficult than finding a real god. That might do it. Old man Aragon remembered something and felt that this could be done. "Okay, don't feel bad. Although I cannot create divine weapons, there is something else that can be done, which will give your sword similar ability, but it needs a rare metal and your master's help. Come on, let's go. I have to talk about your sword with your master." Hearing this, his eyes glowed brightly, as if it were still possible, even if it was difficult but possible. Apollo followed old man Aragon and came out of the secret room. Outside, Master Aaron was waiting for him. "So, did you make up your mind about what kind of sword you want?" Master Aaron asked after seeing his apprentice come out. "You apprentice asked for something troublesome, and for that, you have to pay something." Old man Argon answered the question before Apollo could say anything. "Oh, it looks like you're going to take advantage of this situation. Then, tell me what you want, but don't overdo it." "Hee, you said it later. Don't cry like a kid, Mr. Strongest Swordmaster." Yeah, tell me. "I want the piece of divine thunder iron." FK off. You really went for it directly. you old dwarf. Don't be a baby. Your apprentice wants a size-changing sword. And to achieve that, I have to use one of my treasures. So, it's fair to ask something like that from you. Don't try to fool me. You have eyed that piece of divine thunder iron for years, and now you are just trying to take advantage. You sneaky blacksmith. So what? You're the shameless one here, asking for my help every time you needed it, but didn't pay it back. Just like before, when we went deep into that place. You were still sour about that. Come on, it's not my fault the ladies like me. It's not like I look like a dwarf. FK you, bastard, I'm gonna kill you. But as such, Apollo coughed, interrupting those two old sunderas from fighting with each other. Feeling a little ashamed, Master Aaron took out a pouch from his space ring and threw it towards him. It has some money, and with that, you can look around the city. While I have a heart-to-heart talk with this dwarf. Why do I want to talk heart-to-heart with you, infertile ass? Dwarf, don't tell shit things. I'm only in my 80s, and my DK can still ravage countless horny milfs. Apollo quickly ran away and left the old shop as the situation seemed to get rowdier. After coming to a corner, he checked what was in the pouch given by the master. As he opened, he saw 100 or more small ice blue shards. These ice shards should be the currency used in the frosteld city. But his master didn't tell him how much these 100 ice shards were worth. Are these 100 a lot or not? So he had to find it on his own. He then strolled around the city, looked at various shops, and finally came to a restaurant that seemed quite popular and was filled with people eating and drinking. Although he is 12, his height and build are above average, which makes him look like a teenager. So it doesn't attract too much attention, or there wasn't some bullshit young master who suddenly showed up and started talking shit or attacking him because of his face. He just calmly walked around, and after that, he quickly entered the restaurant and found a table near the window in the corner. The diversity of this place was amazing and surprising, as outside the city, different races are not on good terms with each other, especially humans, as they have beef with almost every other race. But because of the large population and many powerful people, other races cannot suppress them. But here, he did not see such racial discrimination, which also seems to have made this place a paradise for trading different materials and items from various parts of the world. He saw many things that were being sold, like vegetables, in some wholesale markets, but outside, every item was hard to come by. A moment later, a young human waiter whose strength was quite strong, as he seemed to have opened about 7 prana circuits, came to him. Sir, what do you like to eat or drink? To which Apollo replied, how about first you introduce me to the great dishes of this restaurant? Young lord, you must be new in the city if you don't even know our restaurant dishes. The waiter smiled as he said, showing how popular their place is within the city. Okay, you seem to know a lot. Then tell me about the city and the restaurant. And don't worry, I will reward you well. Apollo smiled as he wanted that, and quickly asked the waiter about it. Hearing that there would be a reward, the eyes of the waiter glowed sharply, and he became more enthusiastic and started talking immediately. Young lord, then let's talk about the city's history. I didn't know much about how old it is, but it is known that the city has at least 10,000 years of history and was built by the Eternal Ice Palace. Eternal Ice Palace. The name caught his eye, and he could not help but feel that this power was not simple. And yes, it is the true ruler of Frostheld City or the master of Northern Wasteland. When the waiter said that he had a fanatic expression on his face, he continued, it's because of the Eternal Ice Palace that no one dares mess in the city, and only then can poor and powerless people like us survive in a city full of powerful people and monsters. Apollo understood that, but felt surprised by the power of the Eternal Ice Palace. As only with their name can it have such a dominant effect that so many powerful beings in the city dare not to make any noise. What kind of power is this Eternal Ice Palace? Apollo couldn't help but feel curious about such a mysterious and powerful force. The waiter didn't stop and said what he knew. It is said that the Eternal Ice Palace is a force created by an ancient god in ancient times. And because the ancient god is sleeping in the Eternal Ice Palace, it made the entire northern wilderness into today's frozen wasteland. He whispered it as quietly as possible since he didn't want others to hear what he was saying about the Eternal Ice Palace, which, while well known throughout the city, some fanatics disliked when it was revealed. Apollo, on the other hand, was shocked when he heard that the Eternal Ice Palace was created by an ancient god. He had seen a god, but that almost killed him if it wasn't for the system. So he knew the horror of gods and their power that can bring calamity with every single movement. But he also understood that although security seems lax, this city is under the control of an ancient and powerful force created by God himself that has survived for who knows how many years and has an unknown number of powerful people. Only a mad person with a death wish will dare to make a move here. And there should be some secret measures taken by the Eternal Ice Palace to control the city, which is not something the waiter can know about. Okay, do you have anything more? Apollo asked. Young lord, that's all I know. Eternal Ice Palace is mysterious. How can a small person know more? But I heard rumors that at the center of the city, there's a mural that seems to contain some secret about Eternal Ice Palace. Oh, interesting. But he didn't ask more, and then the waiter started to talk about the foods and drinks that they are famous for. He also understood the worth of the ice shards after comparing the prices of the various foods. There are quite a lot, as it is one of the most expensive foods. A dish made of the meat of some ice dragonfish will cost him 3 ice shards. Ordinary food costs only around 50 to 60 frost coins, the degraded version of ice shards. It seems one ice shard 1,000 frost coins, and with those 100 ice shards, he had 100,000 frost coins, which means he is rich. Feeling rich, he ordered expensive ice dragon fish, which was really good as, after eating, he felt his body was full of power, and some of his ice life force seemed to increase. He gave the waiter an ice shard as a reward and left the restaurant. After Apollo came out of the restaurant, the waiter looked in the direction where Apollo left, smiled while murmuring something, and disappeared in thin air. Nobody noticed him when he vanished like there was never such a waiter in the first place. An interesting kid has appeared. Apollo was unaware of being watched. He walked leisurely, enjoying his time. But after coming here, he understood one thing, that he is weak. He became a little bit proud as his strength suddenly increased a lot. But after seeing many strong people who knows how many times stronger than him they were here walking around normally like nothing, he was brought back to the reality that he might be strong for his age, but he is still too young. And that this world is filled with monsters where only strength matters. He needed to continue to work hard to become stronger and unravel the secret behind the system. The city was large, so there were many places he didn't visit alone, like the battle arena, which is similar to how gladiators fought with their lives on the line. Runic Tower is a tall tower with 9 floors filled with mysteries of mind and soul. An extraordinary building to clear the mind and exercise the soul. And the murals of God. A large wall carved with mysterious words that seem to contain a big secret. These 3 places seem to be the most extraordinary place in Frosteld City. And sadly, except for the battle arena, he cannot enter the other 2 places. So, without anything to do, he came back to Old Man Aragon's blacksmith shop. After entering the shop, he didn't hear a loud noise of them fighting, which brought him a sigh of relief. It meant they had stopped fighting, or they had beaten each other so badly they could not make any more noise. Anyway, either way is better. He didn't want to hear 2 old men shouting and saying weird, embarrassing things about each other. But when he arrived inside, what he saw was unexpected, as he didn't expect to see that. He saw the room filled with empty bottles of wine and alcohol, and his master Aaron and Old Man Aragon were both drunk, sleeping soundly without caring for anything. They seemed to be in deep sleep and even seemed to not notice him. Seeing this, Apollo had a bold idea, but just as he was about to come closer to them and was ready to move, his sharp instincts gave him an early danger signal, as if he tried something funny, it might lead to some broken bones. Feeling this, he immediately stopped and looked at the 2 old men sleeping and sighed, feeling weak. It looks like they're not completely defenseless. Well, they're exceptionally powerful old guys, so it might be possible that even if they were sleeping drunk, it wasn't something he could take care of. He left those 2 alone and came to the next room and sat down to check how much he improved after he got the Frostguard armor. Void Creation System Host, Apollo Fletcher, Normal Form. Life Level, Half-Step Limit Breaker Status. Healthy Physique, 109. Normal Adult Human 1, Spirit, 38. Normal Adult Human 1, Prana. Life Energy, 780 units. Normal Human 1, Skills, Ice Cut, Lowest Grade. Boost, Lowest Grade. Ice Nova, Middle Grade. Creation Energy, 89 points. Looking at the monstrous 3-digit number behind the physique, he couldn't help but feel proud and say, damn, I'm strong. All his data have increased, but the most that increased was his Prana. Life Energy. It increased more because he absorbed the energy from the Frostguard armor. And it was not just the increase in life energy. His ice life force also became pure and could do even greater damage to his enemies. Now, he can freeze hundreds of people to death with a single movement in a matter of seconds. As for the creation points, he had tried the ability of creation energy to evolve things. At the Fletcher family's castle, first, he wanted to try on himself to see if creation energy could evolve his bloodline, but a system message appeared. Creation points insufficient. So later, he tried this on some small animals to change their bloodline, but still got the same notification from the system. In the end, he could only found some ordinary weapon to try. And just like magic, an ordinary low-grade sword glowed with eye-blinding bright light, transformed, and became an ordinary middle-grade sword in a matter of seconds. It was a shocking scene, but after he noticed the consumption, which was a surprising 10 point of creation energy. It might not look like a lot, but it was also just used on an ordinary lowest-grade sword. So, after that knowing this, he changed his mind about creating transcendent weapons in bulk, or try to increase the number of talented people in the family. At least for now, it wasn't possible. He looked at his creation points, which had now reached 89 foot, which wasn't a lot, but still enough to buy some nice potions. In terms of skill, he will not squander creation points on skills that are of the lowest grade or even middle level. As the disciple of swordmaster Aaron, he would learn some good skills. So, it is better to collect some first or wait till more items appear in the system shop. But the most important change is the new row that appeared on the system screen, showing his life level. And it seemed he had reached the half-step limit breaking level. He did not know what level it was, as Old Man Aragon had mentioned before when he tried to forcefully break through. However, he had no idea what this state indicated and could only question the master after he awoke. This stage should be significant, since it appears to be the stage at which humans surpass certain limits and reach a whole new level. Otherwise, how can they compete with gods and devils whose abilities are unimaginable? Apollo closed his eyes and continued to meditate, waiting for his master to wake. And like this, he lost himself in it as a few hours quickly passed. Later, Master Aaron and Old Man Aragon awoke from their sleep and seemed to have already made a deal about the things needed for Apollo's weapon. Apollo lost himself in meditation, so Master Aaron didn't disturb him and waited for the next day to start training. When he woke up, It was already morning, and his master was waiting to take him to start his training. As they stepped outside, he beheld the stunning cityscape, which appeared different. Despite the frigid temperature, the infrequent sunshine made the whole city sparkle as it was mirrored by the surrounding edifices. First, let's have breakfast, and then we go to your daily routines that you will follow every day for the whole month. They go to the same restaurant where he came before and order some sandwiches. Apollo also tried to find the waiter that he saw yesterday, but sadly, he didn't see him. He didn't think much and then listened to his master's word. Okay, you seem to have come here, so I guess you now have some understanding about this city. Apollo nodded his head while listening to the master, as he was surprised to know the past and history of the frosteld city or the entire northern wasteland. Then you should have heard about the 3 treasures of the frosteld city. Yes, they seem to be Battle Arena, Runic Tower, and the Mural of God, he said quickly, as these 3 places fascinated him most yesterday, but he couldn't visit them. Well, good. Then you will start your training with your entry into the battle arena as a new competitor. And don't worry, with your strength, there are not many people in the whole kingdom who can defeat you below limit breaker stage. Oh, yeah. Do you understand the power levels after opening 9 prana circuits? Master Aaron noted that his apprentice was extremely young and hailed from the Baron family, so he might not be aware of power levels. Apollo denied this, as even his grandpa didn't tell him this, as he would not have ever imagined that Apollo would reach this step this early in his life. Okay, then start from the beginning. The first step in the path of the warrior needed to open the 9 primary prana circuits. After opening all 9 prana circuits and accumulating life force to the limit. After this, they cannot improve anymore no matter how they try unless they can break the limit of body and mind to evolve into stronger beings. So, that is the next step, the limit breaking stage came. It seems simple to hear, but it is very difficult to reach the limit and break the limit. Most warriors throughout their lives cannot break this barrier, and can only remain at this level. The limit breaking level is the stage that differentiates genius from ordinary geniuses. The improvement brought after breaking through the first limit is so large that even 10 peak warriors who opened all 9 primary prana circuits together cannot defeat a newly open stage limit breaker. Why is there such a difference in strength? Apollo felt surprised, as before, when opening a new prana circuit, there wasn't much improvement. Yes, it is completely different. As I said, it's an entirely different life level like a higher species in the food chain. From ancient times to the present, this stage always represents power and honor. So even now, if you want to get the title of any noble like a baron, you have to have a strength of a first-rank limit breaker and can be called an elite in any place. Your grandfather, Baron William, is also at this level. Apollo was not surprised, as he always felt his grandfather was really strong, and knowing that he was a limit breaker just confirmed it. What about above the limit breaker stage? How they differentiate and rank their strengths, and what stage master is in? He asked. Above, huh? After breaking the limit, the number of times they broke the limit determined the strength and title they received. For example, if the warrior breaks his limits for the second time, he will become a second-rank limit breaker and be given the title of guardian. And if the warrior breaks through his limit a third time, then he will become a third-rank limit breaker and be given the honorary title master. As you should have guessed, I'm also a third-rank limit breaker or the swordmaster. That's it, Apollo blurted out, as he thought master would be much stronger, but he stopped after that. Master Aaron understood his apprentice's reaction and said angrily, "Kiddo, do you think breaking the limit is easy? You have to know that the more times you break the limit, the harder it gets. If 1 in 100 can break the first limit, then only 1 in 1,000 first-rank limit breakers can break the second limit and become second-rank limit breakers. And every time the person breaks the limits, his lifespan will also increase. First-rank limit breaker, elite warrior 150 years of lifespan. Second-rank limit breaker, guardian 200 years of lifespan. Third-rank limit breaker, master 300 years of lifespan. Okay, kid, you get how difficult it is to break limits. And for your understanding, I am one of the few who have already reached the peak of a third-rank limit breaker, only a step away from becoming a fourth-rank limit breaker. So your master is strong. You got it. Master Aaron said it with a proud face, expressing his stance as a powerful master. Apollo listened to it and understood that he had a long way to go and that he could not be lazy right now. Then, let's go to Battle Arena.
And that's the end of today's chapter from the Dimensional Diary. If you enjoyed wandering these worlds with me, don't forget to like the video, share it with fellow adventurers, and subscribe so you never miss the next story that unfolds.